A roll call, please.
Commissioner Barnett. Commissioner Baxter. Here. Commissioner Bernard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Marino.
Here.
Mayor Sachs. Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward. Here.
Please let the record reflect Commissioner Barnett. Thank you. If you'd all please stand if you can. Commissioner Woodward is going to give the invocation and the pledge.
Father, help us to be sensitive to what is happening to those around us. Make us aware of the concerns of others and guide us through the decision process that is before us today. Give us the strength and courage to do what is best for all those who come before us. Amen.
Thank you. Look at that. You get to sit on the floor today. Okay, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Vice Mayor, members of the board, there are no additions, deletions, or substitutions.
Thank you. May I get approval? All in favor? Thank you very much. All right, we actually do have several regular agenda items. You'll find those on pages 2 through 5. May I have a motion to receive and file item 3A1 from the clerk? So moved. Second? Anybody? We got a first and a second. Did you get that? Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Second item on the agenda is item 3B1, water utilities. Do we need a presentation?
Madam Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 3B1A, B, and C.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we have item 3C1, the Palm Tran item. For Todd, actually, I think this is great information for everyone, so if you would mind giving a brief presentation, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Sorry. I'll wait for our team to get up here, too. So coming up here, joining us, Lynn Johnson, Yash Nadal, Michael Blaylock, Massima Mutumba. And thank you, Madam Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Administrator Baker. You've seen this item a few times before, and we've had, this has been a very, I would say, a challenging issue because it's very unique what we're doing. The agreements that we've been working on were very different than what we've done before. But I want to start by saying thank you to DOT, who's been so accommodating in funding this project, even though it's gotten a little more expensive as we move forward. Thank you to Masimba and his team on some of the negotiations on the contracts, and then particularly to Scott Marting at Risk Management on the insurance component of this, which as well was very challenging to land the insurance for this opportunity. So you have before you a PowerPoint, and I'll just take you quickly through this. First off, again, thanks to those partners that we have. You see them here up on the screen. Again, DOT, an integral part, and particularly on the funding side of what we're doing here, but I don't want to go without thanking our other partners in this particular slide. So our target start date is September of 2024. The week of September 20th is when we do our service changes, and so that's when this will be implemented. Our drivers, our operators will be operating this and working that shift. The park and ride will be located at Gatlin Boulevard up in St. Lucie County, and they'll ride to and from the West Palm Beach Intermodal Transit Center. It's a bi-directional reverse commute. We'll start in West Palm, go to St. Lucie, and then back. Nonstop, 1 hour, 50-mile trip, 4 round trips, and 3 coach bus styles. You see the coach bus we have up there. And then below that are the times when we plan to leave the intermodal, as well as from Gatlin back and forth, and we'll have 2 buses in operation throughout the morning and in the evening hours. The park and ride construction was completed in 2021, located at I-95 and Gatlin Road. It accommodates 162 vehicles. It has 6 bus berths and passenger shelters, 6 electric vehicle spaces, and then bicycle racks and motorcycle parking there as well. A really beautiful facility, and thank you to DOT for that. The fare policy is a little different on this. This is a a trip that is a little bit higher standard of what we've typically provided in the past, but it's a $3 one-way trip. There is no fare capping that's involved in that. We have our fare capping that caps that at $5, but that does not apply to this type of service. There's no reduced fare for TD, and then to transfer from that to the balance of our system is $2 to transfer out. So we think it's a pretty phenomenal deal for those who are getting on this to do that, and they can pay with either their Paradise Pass or their contactless payments. We won't be accepting cash on this. This is a pilot, but in the future, if it is something that gets integrated into the system, we'll look at some other alternative ways of doing that. The amenities itself are a 56-passenger vehicle, luggage overhead, underfloor, luxuriously traversing I-95. You'll have wheelchair securement system and a rear door, and then reclining bucket seats with Wi-Fi, USB chargers, reading lights, and 6 infotainment screens that will be providing Channel 20's best hits throughout the ride from St. Lucie to Palm Beach. The amenities that we have on our apps, our day trip planners, as well as our tech service to find out where your bus is and how you can go about doing that, those will apply to this. From a marketing perspective, some of the traditional and digital tactics we wanted to just share with you that we've been engaging in and will continue to engage in over the coming months as service begins. So we think there's a great opportunity here for this service, and there's been a lot of interest in it in the community. And then just the final timeline, June approval by the BCC, July, August, we'll finalize the launch of the materials and contracts, and then September, the ongoing promotion and the launch service. And I look forward to being on the inaugural run in September, and I hope that some of you are able to join us as well. And with that, Madam Vice Mayor, we're available for any questions the BCC may have.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just one quick question on the infotainment. Are we going to be selling any advertising blocks on that, or are we allowed to?
No, we do not. Accidentally turn it off. No, we do not wish to sell advertising on the onboard buses, and we currently do not either on the buses, the screens that we have on the buses.
Okay, separate question then. Is there a reason why we don't do that?
This may be something to consider. Of course, this is a pilot program. We currently have contracts in place for advertising that currently do not include the infotainment screens. As our advertising contracts go for renewal, these are the things we consider. But since this is a pilot program and we don't currently have that in our current contract, we're just not able to start it at the launch of this date.
When do we do the next round of?
I believe our next one is going to be in October, our next advertising contract. And we will be looking at our bus shelters and seeing how we can incorporate those. And that's one of the discussions, is whether we should be including the digital screens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. Understanding this is a pilot, but something I think would make sense to consider is to switch this around so it originates from St. Lucie instead of originating here and deadheading 2 buses up there. So if it started out there in the morning, and so after the pilot, I would recommend you guys look at that.
Yeah, Madam Vice Mayor and Commissioner Weiss, we reviewed that initially. We were not going to do the initial run from West Palm to St. Lucie. We're just going to originate from St. Lucie at that morning time, but we decided since we were taking the bus up there, we would originate it at that first in the event that we were able to at least get a few commuters here, because the buses will be based here in Palm Beach County at our facilities here, and we'll have to take the ride up there in the morning to start the service out. So we're just using that to try to grab that revenue piece. I think, though, if we were successful with it, I know that DOT is very excited about the opportunity to do this, and we think that if it's successful, there may be opportunities to grow the service with them. But we can take a look back at that again.
Yeah, it seems to make, why, I understand, you guys have this plan in place already, but to not originate there, and you're basically going to be sending empty buses.
It has to start here.
Why?
Because this is where the buses are. The garages are here for the buses in the evening, and that's where we don't have.
Can't we make a
location.
deal with them? Don't they have a place up there to keep buses?
Yeah, our bus operators would have to go up there to start the trip.
I would bet some of them already live up there.
Yeah. We could take a look at it and see. I mean, it's just because the buses are going to be stored here, the operators begin their day here. So,
It's just, you're spending an hour on the road virtually empty. I mean, I get why you're doing it, but it doesn't make sense. It's not the most efficient thing to be doing.
okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Todd. Can you talk a little bit about what triggered the need for this service and who your expected ridership will be?
Sure. So this initially began in right about 2020 when FDOT reached out to us and showed us a study that they had done about the commuters that were traveling from Port St. Lucie down to West Palm Beach. And then, they initially approached us if we would be interested in running a service like this. Based on their research, they had found that there were a lot of commuters on I-95 that would benefit from a trip like this, especially in the peak morning times and peak evening times, because we're assuming these are work trips. And then a couple of years later, before we started our own work for this project, we also did a survey, a market demand survey, where we got over, I want to say, 900 responses, which is fairly good for any sort of market demand survey. And about 60-70% of the people indicated that they would definitely use that service. So those were some of the pre-knowledge that we had before we came into the service.
So this is going to be open to everybody
Yes.
who rides Palm-Tran. Do you have any idea what percentage will be our employees, county employees?
I don't have that number on me, but we can do a little bit of a follow-up research into it, because one of the questions that we had did ask the purpose of your trip. So we could sort of use that information and get back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Question for staff. If we have to initiate the travel, to Commissioner Weiss's point, to go from here to up there, what time does that trip start?
Starts at 5 a.m. in the morning from here. So we'll leave here at 5 a.m., go there, and then 10 minutes stop there, and then return back. That's bus number 1. Bus number 2 will begin at 5:25 here, leaving West Palm to head up there, and then do that commute back.
So what time will they have to catch the bus?
6 a.m. in
For the
St.
first
Lucie
one?
for the first one, and 6:30 for the second one.
Do we know what time people have to, their children catch school buses up there?
I don't know the exact time that they catch school buses up there in St. Lucie. I'm not sure.
I just think we're missing especially if we're having two different times, 6 and 6:30 is very close together. I think there might be, if we could maybe make one a little later so that a parent who might want to let their kid get on the bus and then take the bus down here. But 6:30, I think, is very early
Okay.
for that to be a possibility for many of them. And so that would be very helpful. Also, you answered one of my questions was, is the trip mostly for work? And again, at the end of the day, if we have a larger differentiation between that half hour, it might make it more available to some people. I'm assuming it's the same difference at the end of the day. Keeping that in mind. And also, to the point of, if we didn't ask individually, maybe just send out a survey to county employees to see, or just a question, please let us know if you plan to use this service. We'll serve two functions. One, we'll get a number of how many employees would potentially use it, and two, it'll let them know it's available.
So we did send out the survey when we sent out our initial survey.
To the employees?
Yes, to the employees here, West Palm Beach, the TPA. We picked a lot of the downtown employers, so because we were thinking that's who's going to be working here. And we tried to base it as much as possible on what they had answered on when they were trying to start their work. And sort of the reason for the 6:30 trip was because if you take the 6:30 trip, you get here around 7:30, and we were trying to get them to work like right before 8, because you still have, you might want to prep or there might be a little bit of walk or something like that for you.
I definitely think the 6:30 is better than the 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know how many people will be catching a 6 o'clock bus, but, that's just, I think, in general. And then if they're here by 7:30, that gives them, to your point, plenty of time for an 8 o'clock start. So I do think that's the better one, if we do move one of the bus times to keep.
Commissioner, we'll go back and review that. We'll look in that again when we look at Commissioner Weiss's comment as well about originations. So we'll take a look at both of those and report back to you before we finalize that.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Mayor. Just to continue the conversation that Commissioner Greg Weiss had mentioned, I think it would really be better if, you have one of the buses that would start in Port St. Lucie, and they both you can have one that starts here at 6:30, and then you have another one that starts in Port St. Lucie at that same time, 6:30, and they're leaving at one's going up and one's coming down, and I think that if you have Palm Tran bus drivers who live in St. Lucie County, they don't have to drive down here. I think that's probably the best route, and you can work with Port St. Lucie or the city to see how you can park the bus there overnight, so in that way, you don't have to make an empty trip. I think that's, to me, the best way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Question. Marcy, you want to go ahead? So it's a pilot, which means we're going to be getting data from the pilot. And I guess the question would be is how flexible are we during the pilot? I mean, do we start and do the exact same thing for a year? Or do we see what happens the first month and then adjust?
We would definitely be flexible based off of the data that we collect. So we usually, any service change that we do, we monitor the service throughout it. And then we have service changes every 4 months in a year. So in that 4-month period, we'll assess it and then make a recommendation of if a change is needed right at the 4-month period.
So when you picked the pilot times that you picked, was that based on data?
The start times?
Yes.
Yes. It was based off of the survey, the responses that we had received from the survey.
And from the survey, were there folks coming from West Palm going to Port St. Lucie?
So the reason for that first trip is initially we didn't have that first trip because we were just going to take that first bus up there and start the bus at 6 a.m. So you just wouldn't have seen the first trip in here. The reason we didn't do it is because it would have just been deadhead, which basically means that there's no chances for anybody to get on the bus in case there was a reverse commute. So to avoid that, we just made that first trip revenue service. But essentially, this is just a trip that we kind of know that nobody's going to ride, but we're going to have to take it anyway. So there was no real advantage for us if we were going to still start from the North County garage to have it, deadhead up there. That was kind of the thinking behind it.
So then the service times that you have of 6 and 6:30 up there, there's a demand for that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'd actually like to see, do the first couple months and see if it works both ways, and you can decide after that, because you're not going to waste time, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that we had discussed with FDOT previously too was we might get into a situation where 2 trips might not be enough based on the morning peak. So if that does become the situation, we would go back and ask them for additional funding. It wouldn't be a lot of funding, but we do need basically a third bus to be operating in the schedule to be able to have a third trip in and expand that morning span a little bit.
I mean, the win-win here is FDOT wins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're taking traffic off the road. It's maintenance they don't have to do on I-95. So anything we can do to make it more efficient, that'd be great.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Barnett?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just one quick question about a point that was raised with regards to the efficiency of beginning the journey point here in West Palm Beach, as opposed to maybe housing one of our buses up in Port St. Lucie. Would it be feasible to investigate the cost differential between the plan as you have it set up, as opposed to the cost of housing a driver and a bus up in Port St. Lucie, to see if it would make any kind of particular difference in cost?
So all good points, Commissioner Barnett, and those that you raised. One thing too, that in order to do this, I mean, we have a contract with our operators that's governed, and the union is very specific about routes, bidding, competitive bidding, who gets the opportunity to service which routes. So as we look at this, it's not as easy as just saying, well, let's move it up there and start it there. There are some other steps that we'll have to explore. We will do that. We'll have some conversations with the union, with ATU, and see what the feasibility is within the confines of our current management contract that we have with them today, and how we might be more flexible on that service if that's something that we're able to do. But we'll take those things into consideration, and I just want you to know it's not as simple as just kind of saying we'll start it there. There are a couple of other steps that we've got to do, but we're happy to do the due diligence on that and get back to you pretty quickly on that.
Thank you. Administrator Baker.
We will also follow up with St. Lucie County. I do want to put one caveat, and that is the county, is responsible for insurance, liability, that kind of thing. And so when it's secured within our confines of our North County facility, it is, guards are there, et cetera, and we're responsible for that. The insurance was one of the more challenging things that we had to deal with in order to make this work. And so we would definitely have to go back to Scott in risk management along with the insurance. So we will look at all of the things. I hear you loud and clear, but this was not an easy journey to make on this. But we hear you loud and clear, and we'll follow up. But I do want you to know that there are some extenuating circumstances that may be beyond our control or cost us more money.
Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Todd, when we did the survey, what were the start times that we had suggested, or did we leave it blank for them to fill in?
I would have to go back and look, but they were pretty standardized, like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and then we did the return same as 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And then most of the people had indicated that they were working sort of a 8 to 5 job, so we tried to match it up based on that. But I can give you more detailed information once I look at it.
And so the 9 to 5, so you're saying, well,
8 to
say
5.
8 to 5.
Yeah, 8 to
right?
5.
You were trying to get them there by 7:30,
Yeah.
and we're trying to then return them
Yeah.
after that time.
Yeah, it was, most people were saying they were trying to get there between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. to their destination.
So out of 900 responses, how many were at that time?
I can't remember, but it was a majority, like over 50%. It was the highest response that we picked for the category. So there were some other ones that were starting at like 10 a.m., but they were very small parts.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Vice Mayor, I would just say, we'll be back again before you in August. We have to bring back the fare policy to you as well on this particular route. So we'll have a good opportunity to kind of dig in deeper with you on some of the questions and follow-ups that you've had to be able to make sure that we answer those in full.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Just to wrap this up is understanding this is a pilot, and no, this is just the first time out of the box with it. I get it. Just it was a suggestion, based just, sort of common sense looking at it. That's all. Not asking you to work miracles, just trying to get the service started. Let's see, all the other parameters. Everything is we've talked about is going to be flexible, and same thing with working hopefully with our neighbors to the north, that they can help accommodate us if in fact we're able to store a bus up there. But this is a pilot, and let's see where it goes. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and move item 3C1.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed.
Vice
motion
Mayor?
carries. Yes.
Could you repeat the seconder for the record?
Commissioner Bernard, did you get that? Okay, thank you. Well, he's still commissioner. We're not going to call him senator yet. Thank you very much. All righty, moving on to Item 3C2. Does anybody need a presentation? All right, can I get a motion in a second?
I make a motion.
Thank you.
Second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank
Aye.
you very much.
Can
Pardon me, Commissioner Woodward.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank everyone for their work on this. It's a really big deal for us to have connections for all 3 counties with Tri-Rail, all of our buses. Maybe I can reduce my apps by about 4 on my phone, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we are going to move to the workshop part of our agenda. And we are going to have a presentation on our nonprofit partners, which I'm so looking forward to because there are so many of them and they do such good work, and it's nice for our board to know exactly what that good work is. Ms. Fields, you going to lead the discussion?
I'll kick us off. Good morning, Vice Mayor and Commissioners. Tammy Fields, Assistant County Administrator, and at the table this morning is Ike Powell and Elisa Kramer from the Youth Services Department, and James Green and Taruna Mahaltra from Community Services. And I also wanted to acknowledge Helene Vizd, who works with both of the departments. This is the workshop that, Vice Mayor, you requested several months ago, where you wanted to hear from the nonprofit agencies that we contract with. Thank you. I'm not good at doing 2 things at once. So the various nonprofit agencies that we contract with, obviously we can't have all of them here this morning. Would be spending the whole day here, but we're going to have staff give some brief presentations, and then most of the time will be spent with 11 agencies that represent the community-based agencies from Youth Services and the financially assisted agencies from the Community Services Department. Our nonprofits are really critical in serving our residents. Palm Beach County cannot do everything that they're able to do, and so we appreciate the partnerships with them. I do want to note that there are several other departments that contract with nonprofits, such as Parks and Rec, Public Safety, Office of Community Revitalization, and the Office of Equal Opportunity, but we're just going to focus on the ones in our community-based agencies and FAAs this morning. We do have a Health and Human Services element of our comp plan, and the nonprofits really serve a very vital role. This graphic, and I apologize, it's not as easy to see, but this graphic really does show all of the different areas where we engage with our nonprofits, and they are critical to us being able to meet the requirements of our Health and Human Services element. The board has been provided reports from both the Youth Services Department and financially assisted agencies, Community Services. I believe last week you received this report that was done from Youth Services. So the data from the other agencies that are not presenting today is in great detail here, and both Mr. Powell and Ms. Kramer would be able to answer any questions regarding the ones that are not with us this morning. And at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Kramer for her to kick us off with the community-based agencies.
Good morning, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator Baker. The Youth Services Department really appreciates the support of the Board of County Commissioners in annually funding our community-based agencies and our 3 youth empowerment centers. Youth Services currently contracts with 31 community-based agencies, and these agencies really are crucial in serving nearly 13,000 youth, parents, organizations, adults, mentors in our community. The community-based agencies provide services that address the 6 priority areas that were identified in the Youth Master Plan, Strengthening the Steps to Success. And that Youth Master Plan was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2016 and is currently being updated. Those current priority areas, as you see on the screen, are economic access, educational support, ensuring safety and justice, health and wellness, parenting and role models, and social and emotional learning. Next slide, please. So the Youth Services Department contracts with 3 youth empowerment centers in Riviera Beach, Belglade, and Lake Worth. These centers provide activities and services to youth ages 11 through 19, and they include after-school educational programs, leadership development, career development. They also strengthen academic supports for the youth who participate. And today, we will hear from Ms. Reginald Durandis, who is CEO and founder of For the Children, which operates the Lake Worth Youth Empowerment Center and is funded also in the health and wellness priority area for the Healthy Families, Healthy Kids program. Thank you, Reggie, and special guests for being here today.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before I start, I want to thank you for this report. And without you guys, my kids would have been without a service. And thank you as well to the FAA for providing us with the mental health fund, which primarily serve Haitian families. And as you guys well aware, the Haitian families, we don't like to go to counseling because we don't be labeled as being crazy. But since from the time we started the Student Community Wellness Center, I have seen parents now calling and ask for services. But I don't want to speak for the kids because they're here. They're the one that receive the services. And at this time, I would like for them to come and let you know how the program has impacted them. Thank you again for being our partner. Go ahead.
Okay, make sure you introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I am Joanna. Good morning. I am Joanna. I'm going to the 8th grade. I'm in middle school. Ever since, like at home, I always stay on my phone, never do anything. But ever since I went into LYC, I always have something to do. I'm always occupied. Every single time, like, I'm not really the strongest in all things, but we still participate in everything, so you could try your best. And I'm not really the nicest person, so ever since I joined YEC, they controlled my anger, all my stuff, because like I'm a social person, but I will say what I think on my mind.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's not easy to get in front of a microphone.
Good morning, community. My name is Schladen Gabriel. I am a recent graduate from South Tech Academy. This program has actually helped me realize my purpose and the main reason why I wanted to go to college. And has also helped me with my mental health for the past 8 months, which was a really good thing. I'm actually really hoping, really enjoying that this program is still here, even when I'm off doing my own things in life, thanks to the help of Ms. Reggie and for the children. And that is all.
Thank you.
My name is Ronaldo Gabriel. I'm going to the 8th grade, and joining YEC actually helped me because before I was really quiet and shy, but now since I joined, I'm really social and I'm open, and yeah.
Good morning, my name is Dimitri. Before I joined YEC, I was just wandering the streets, and after I joined it, I've been occupied doing my homework and socializing. I'm in 8th grade as well.
And as you can see, your money is well spent. But aside from that, I want to talk about the Healthy Family, Healthy Kids. The Healthy Family, Healthy Kid was funded 2 years ago from your services department.
And everybody wants healthy family, healthy kids. Because we do cooking classes, we bring doctors to talk about high blood pressure, cancer, we do yoga, we do meditation. And it is to that point where if we notice that any kids or parents are having issues, then we'll use the Children Community Wellness Center to make a referral for counseling. And to the counseling program, they get case management. We don't just send them away. We make sure we call the agency where we're making the referral to make sure the client get the services. And then we're constantly meeting every quarter to find out what's going on the other end. Because again, most of our family are Haitian American descent, and some of our family are Mayan, Colombian. They're all language learners, and they need to have somebody that can help them bridge the other side, and we are the bridge for them. And we have a motto for the children. We said, for the children is a place where children come first. And I need to change that because it was brought up to a meeting with the parent. And he said, Miss Reggie, you constantly said, for the children is a place where children come first. What happened to the kids? I said, well, to the kids, we are making your family better. And that was the motto behind that. Because me coming from the Glades as a child, and my mom was a migrant worker, and I felt like if I didn't have a good mentor to really watch me go into the path, I would have made it to college, where I get a full scholarship. I went to Ohio and come back and pay my time back. Therefore, to me, for the children mission, it's not only a job, it's a calling to me. Because the fact that when I won that scholarship and I told them I was going to come back and work in the Glades, which is my home, but although I don't live there, but every quarter I'll find myself take my car and drive around and check on my foster care's mom, and she's now 70 years old. Therefore, guys, I want to say thank you so very much to all the Commissioner McBernard. You've been very, faithful to us. We appreciate that. And what happened to Commissioner Maria Sachs? I came to 2 meetings, I haven't seen her. Is she okay?
Oh, no, she's just absent today.
Okay, because she was also one that visited to us all the time, and I didn't see her. And please, I'm asking, and is that Mr. Barnett? Thank you again for coming to our last event. It makes us feel good when we have the commissioner show about our event. Then we feel that we're not only doing a program, but we also a partner with you, and you solidified, the mission. We're not here to work against you, we're here to work with you. Therefore, when we look good, you look good. Therefore, it's very important that also you guys show up at some of our events. Anything else?
Thank you very much. And your explanation is the reason why I asked for this, because we need to see your passion. I mean, when you become involved in a nonprofit, most folks that work for nonprofits, they do it because it's not for the money. Trust me when I say it's not for the money. I ran a children's foundation for 20 years. It's not for the money. You do it for the passion. And thank you, because your passion shows in bringing the kids here. Thank you for sharing your story. Sometimes it's not easy to get in front of a microphone, so thank you for doing that today.
Thank
you for being here.
Can I ask just a couple?
You sure can.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Thank you very much for what you're doing for the kids in our community. I just had a couple of questions, if it's okay, ma'am.
Reggie, it's Reggie.
When I don't, okay.
Couple of questions.
Couple of questions from Commissioner Barnett.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for your organization and the work you're doing for the kids in our community. I noticed there was a discussion of activities, youth activities, field trips. Are these summer programming activities, or are these
all year long?
Oh, okay, excellent.
We open all year long, only closed for 12 days in all of our sites.
All right. And do you have a lot of volunteers, or do you have a lot of paid staff?
We have paid staff. We do have volunteers. Right. We partner with Kiwanis Club of Lake Worth. We partner with FAU, Palm Beach State College, where they will send some of the interns who are either mental health or teachers to come and help and work at our site. But the only thing is, because we need more Creole speaking and Spanish speaking, the volunteer that we're getting, they're more English speaking. Therefore, if any of you want to volunteer once a month, especially for the new arrival that we have coming from the Biden administration, we have a lot of Creole-speaking clients.
So you need Creole-speaking volunteers?
Yeah.
Do you have a website that people can visit?
Yeah, you can go to forthechildrenfirst.org.
Forthechildrenfirst.org. Oh, okay, great.
And our number is 561-493-1190.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you if you have any kind of data to demonstrate just how successful your program is in helping these kids, in particular with academics, maybe graduation rates, things like that?
Oh, I can tell you.
Yeah, please.
Because I did a magnet, because every 9 weeks, and I would sit my time, pull every child in the program report card, and I would look at all of their attendance. Any kids who are not missing more than 10 days in school, I need to know why. And what I'm noticing, and I'm sharing that with you as well, a lot of the kids they are in school, but somehow they are skipping classes. Therefore, since I'm a member of the school district advisory council, therefore I told them we need to find out why our kids are going to another classroom. Because when I ask my kids, they ask, how come this day you're missing 10 days? Where were you? You were in this classroom, but you didn't go to classroom number 2. Miss Reggie, we didn't look like the teacher. We just go hang out with another teacher. And that's something that we need to adjust, because if they're in school, I don't think they should be able to allow to go to another teacher's classroom. Because in the report card, they were in school, but because they weren't in the classroom they were assigned to, they still mark them absent. And then I would say 95% of our kids are making 2.5 or higher. All right. And my Gabe here, a 4.0 students, and I have many more. Therefore, our kids are doing very well. All of our kids go to college. If they don't do college, we make sure they go to the Army, to a technical school, because one of the things I told them, I said, guys, listen, when I came here, I was a migrant worker with my mom, and I remember traveling back and forth. But with good education and being honest, being respectful, you can make it. Therefore, I use me as a model for them. Therefore, yeah, academic is very crucial. You do not go on any field trip if you have less than a 2.5 GPA. When you improve, I give you a field trip. But if we do not improve, no field trip for you, go to tutorial. That's how we work.
And there are groups that you work with to help some of your kids obtain scholarships?
Yes.
Those are going to college?
We work with Pathway to Success. We work with Community Foundation, with other private foundations like the Tudor Foundation. They also help out as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Barnett, if I could add to that, in the community-based agency's annual report, our youth empowerment centers are some of our most successful programs.
Yeah.
And this applies for all 3 youth empowerment centers that are funded. There's 100% of the students demonstrated improvement in student academics. 100% of their students advanced to the next grade or graduated from high school. 100% in each of the youth empowerment centers either went on to college, a vocational enrollment, employment, an industry certification, or military enlistment.
Yeah.
And this one's also very important. 100% of their participants remained crime-free while they were participating in the program. And of the summer internships, because we do fund summer internships with all of our youth empowerment centers, all of the students who enrolled in the summer internships were able to complete them. So our statistics for our youth empowerment centers have, year after year, been really outstanding.
May I add one caveat that I forgot to mention? We are a conveyor belt. We serve kids from 3 to 19. If you go to our site right now, you're going to see kids that went to YEC, to the program, who are now being the director of the program themselves. And when I look at the face of the children, I say, who are these kids? She looks like somebody I know. Oh, that's so-and-so's child. Therefore, I have a bunch of grandchildren that I didn't even know I had. Therefore, it really, for the children, is really a place where children come first. Don't matter where we are on the south end of Lakewood, but there's a great thing going on. And please come by and visit with us.
Commissioner Bernard, you have some questions?
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Mayor. Reggie, thanks for being here, and I want to thank the kids for, I know y'all were nervous, and to get a chance to speak in front of us, it's, the butterflies come out, but we really appreciate you coming out. Just a quick question, Reggie. I know you said, it's a place where children come first. Like, with the issue in terms of housing, how have you seen the housing situation impacting some of the parents that you serve and some of the students? If you can, I know that's not within your wheelhouse, but I'd love to know how's that impacting
In a way
you.
it is, because we don't only serve the child, we serve the whole family. And what I'm seeing happening, recently we had a family with a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. One of the family noticed that the parents was coming behind our building. But what she was doing, she took one of our old playground cover, and that's where she was sleeping every night, because she was fighting with her husband, and the husband brought a new woman to the house and then kicked the wife out. And again, adopt a family. I always call adopt a family. I say, hey, Matt, I have a friend, I have a family here, I need help. And they were able to help that family. At the same time, we also had to provide family with free childcare, because at that time, it takes them a little process to get to ELC, and we were able to serve that family. And Commissioner Bernard, yes, you know we are situated in a 4.63 acres of land. And the plan is to really expand and add more classroom for the kids. And right now I'm looking for potential partner that can come in, took half of the land, do some affordable housing, and then leave us at the front of the building, because we have our own staff paying $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom house because she has 4 children. And all I'm paying her is $18 per hour. Therefore, she has to work 2 jobs just to be able to pay her, her apartment. We have to do something about that. Therefore, I'm willing to put my big dream aside, and let's come up with a mutual way that way we can serve the family and the kids, because I don't want any of my kids to be sleeping in the back of the building and being homeless. We have family that are sleeping in car garage. They just came from the Biden administration, because the family who adopted them to come here, they don't have the space. Therefore, they're willing to sleep in the car garage in the heat so that they can come here for a better life.
Okay.
If you know anyone, please send them my way.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sure they'll be lining up once you said that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, what's next? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, kids.
Thank you. So under the economic access category, the Youth Services Department contracts with Florence Fuller Child Development Centers, Pace Center for Girls, and Vita Nova. And the primary outcome for these services is to get the teens job ready, to really get them placements, help them with interviewing skills, help them with career building skills, and to get them employed. Next slide, please. Under the educational support category, our outcomes are focused on parents achieving proficiency in navigation of the school system and becoming more engaged with their children's academic success. We also focus on programming for youth attaining college readiness, getting coaching, achieving entry and enrollment into post-secondary institutions, and receiving extracurricular support or those extra academic supports that are needed to go on to the next grade level. Next slide, please. Under our ensuring safety and justice category, this priority area supports youth who are ages 11 to 19 and who are involved in the justice and/or criminal justice systems. And it's focused on really expanding those activities and supports that are pro-social activities that keep children engaged, keep children with mentors, and out of trouble. This category includes our Level Up program, which is a partnership with the United Way of Palm Beach County and the Children's Services Council. And as you may recall, last year won a NACO Best in Category Award nationwide for children and achievement for offering mentoring opportunities. And today we will hear from Julie Swindler, who is CEO of Families First of Palm Beach County. Families First serves both as a community-based agency with youth services and a financially assisted agency with community services.
Judy, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, and so sorry I had to follow Reggie. I have no children with me. Anyway, Vice Mayor, thank you for having me, the Board of County Commission. It is my pleasure to present the services that Families First has. And I'm very grateful for the partnership for both Youth Services and the FAA for the 4 programs that we are funded. First, I'll talk about Youth Services. In the first slide, we work with the juvenile justice system. We have a collaborative that we've formed with the safety department, public safety. We have therapists that are now going into the detention center so we can engage these youth before they exit. We have therapists that attend all the court hearings so that we can make sure we put the best services in place from a therapeutic and wellness perspective. And we find that our youth that are exiting are really less risky behaviors and not entering back into the juvenile justice system. In our FAA programs, we have 2 programs that are mental health, and we have 1 program that is homeless. I will talk about Bridges to Success first. This is our program that we serve Royal Palm Beach, Pahokee, and Belle Glade. We have 10 units that we have out in the western communities, and I'm happy to report that we're expanding to 10 more units. I was concerned about what was going on with the housing crisis, so my board and I took a leap of faith, and we decided we were going to add 10 more units out in the Glades. That will start October 1st. In our mental health programs, our Kin Support Project serves our relative caregivers. These are caregivers. Actually, we have a sister that is 18 that's caring for her siblings as a relative caregiver, and we have as old as 84 who's a great-grandparent who's caring for relatives. We started this program, myself and a board member, primarily because we saw the statistics going on with the change in family dynamics, and more relatives are serving and really stepping up and caring for these children. So the Kin Support is under mental health. We're seeing more and more behavioral health services and our mental health crisis coming from that program. We've expanded to Belle Glade now, so we are serving relatives countywide in that program. In our PARIT program, which is a mental health program as well. This is for the underinsured and uninsured families throughout the county that get referred to us. We are countywide. In fact, we have 1.5 therapists that serve the Glades as well in that particular program. We also started a collaborative with Edna Renner Tutorial School in Jupiter. So we are working with the kids in that program. We have a therapist working now daily while camp is going on. And then come the fall, we will also be working with them in the after-school program for the school year. So next slide, please. I want to talk about a little bit about our some of our statistics. In 2023, in Ensure Safety and Justice in our YES program, we exceeded our contract numbers. We're contracted to serve 45, and we serve 49. We're presently serving 37 parents right now and 31 youth. In this particular program, we wanted to make sure we had outcomes for parents because youth will not be successful if we're not engaging the parents in our work. So we had 100% of our parents that were engaged in 2023. You'll see that in the annual report. And in 2024, like I said, we have 37 parents that are now fully engaged. And they really want to do what's best for their children. In our Bridges to Success program, 100% of our families are housing stable, and 100% of our families are maintaining or increasing their income. In fact, we have one young lady that was 9 when she started with us, and she's going into nursing school, or she's in nursing school. And I can publicly, I guess, say that we hired her. She's one of our employees in the Healthy Families program and doing a marvelous job as she's working while she continues going to school. In our Kin Support program, we have 100% this year success rate in children remaining with their relatives and children not going back into the welfare system. All of our families, we work on sustaining self-sufficiency, working on benefits that they're entitled to, but also we interface with the school district a lot with those kids. We want to make sure they're placed where they need to be, that they get the supports they need in the schools, and that they are successful so that they could be contributing members of society as they get older. So I'm very pleased with what's going on within that program. In our youth program, in our PARIT program, our referrals continue, like I said, to grow in the Glades. Our partnerships with Edna Runner has really been fulfilling in terms of the kids that we're able to access and support with Edna Runner. They had reduction in mental health symptoms, or 78% in that program. And you got to remember, some of these programs, some of these kids have diagnosis. So we're working on really stabilizing and reducing their mental health symptoms so that they can sustain and continue to develop. We have stability in the home, so 82%. of our kids are becoming stable within the home through our services, and stability in school is 89%. So part of our work is really to ensure that our kids can maintain in school so that they can graduate and go on. I'd like to close with a story from one of our kids, actually a young man from the YES program, or our Safety and Justice program. This is an 18-year-old African-American young man. He was presented to us and referred to us by the detention center because he was very depressed, had depressive symptoms. He had a lot of trauma in his life. He had grief and loss, and of course he had legal issues. So when we met him, we learned that his grandfather had died, his mother had died while he was incarcerated, and he had also witnessed his best friend being shot and murdered. So that would disturb any of us on a good day. So we engaged him in therapy. He complied with his probation office. We also learned when he first started with us, he was homeless and he couldn't get a job. So through the therapeutic process, he was able to get enough courage and enough information he needed, so he was able to find a job, and he's now not homeless. So he's stabilized, living in his own home, has a job. He also has learned how to deal with so much tragedy in his life, and has learned coping mechanisms that he can honor his mother and remember the good times, and what's important to him in terms of being able to get better himself. He's now completed therapy. He's completed his probation. And he said that therapy for him was a place to be safe, feel safe, and to be able to really talk about the things that are so difficult that it's hard to really talk, to just everybody about those. So personally and professionally, we are so grateful to all of you for your partnership. We couldn't do this work without you. It's hard work, but I think we have the best team, really caring and honoring what families are going through and letting them lead us in their journey. So thank you.
Thank you. And also, just to let everybody know, you all are also a $100,000 grant recipient from Impact of the Palm Beaches.
Yes, we are for our infant mental health program. We're so grateful.
Thank you.
So under the health and wellness category, this priority area is focused on youth and parents increasing stress reduction techniques and learning how to accept and cope with the stresses that are happening in their families and in their lives, gaining knowledge of trauma and its impact.
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter, I'm sorry, I didn't see your light on.
No worries, thank you. Administrator Baker, actually have a question for you. I love the programs that we're doing for the kids and so on. I have a kind of a financial question. Which fund are these dollars coming from?
Do you want me to take that?
Ad valorem.
Ad valorem dollars. And I think the programs are great. I guess my question is, because in Palm Beach County, we have a unique Children's Services Council with its own millage rate. It brings in, roughly $140 million a year. So I'm just wondering, how do we decide which programs get directed to the Children's Services Council for funding versus ad valorem dollars?
We actually partner with Children's Services Council. Tammy Fields, our ACA now, used to be the youth director, actually sat on different boards. We work from 0 to 22. And now we've got our new director of youth services also sitting on that board. They do strategize on what gets funded, what percentage, et cetera. None of us have enough dollars to fund all of these programs successfully, so we leverage those dollars. And I will turn it over to Ms. Fields or Ms. Kramer to answer any further questions on that
Just a
matter.
little bit of history, and I apologize, I probably should have started that with the community-based agencies. When a determination was made in 2014-15 to privatize the Head Start program, which is now with Lutheran Family Services, one of the agreements that was reached at that point in time was to set aside some of the dollars that the county would now be saving in order to fund evidence-based programming. And so there was an agreement with the Children's Services Council and the Board of County Commissioners to be focusing on that evidence-based programming. And so that's where these dollars came from, is that transition. The other thing that occurred is over time, the Children's Services Council has agreed to, and you'll see this next month when we come with recommendations for funding for this year, that there's times where we're not able to fund or make recommendations for funding for all of the contracts that apply. And in several of the instances, the Children's Services Council has said, what can we do to help? And they have come in and funded the rest of the program. The Children's Services Council does a heavy emphasis on the younger years, and you'll hear from Primetime in a few minutes. One of the things that happened early on is the Children's Services Council was funding the elementary after-school programs, but middle school was completely being left out. There weren't that many programs for middle school, and so we started to partner with Primetime to be able to hit those middle school age kids who arguably need the most attention after school. So it is always a partnership with the Children's Services Council. It's the same with our summer camp scholarship program. They fund the bulk of it. We make the matches and with the various camps and process all of the applications, but the largest portion of the funding comes from the Children's Services Council.
Follow up. So they have the ability to set their millage rate every year, do they not?
Yes.
So if they thought potentially they needed more funds instead of reducing it, or, which I believe it's been a few years in a row now, it keeps going down. I'm just wondering why, I mean, they could prioritize middle school after school programs as well. I just feel like they were created for a reason. I'm trying to figure out, is on our end, is it at the best use of our dollars to do that versus letting the people who are created do that, who have the ability to set their millage rate, who have the ability to direct their funds? I absolutely love, I'm a mother. I understand the need for children's programs. I understand the need for them to be in a process. I'm just wanting to make sure we're not overdoing it. You know, if they have that ability to say, this is our priorities, this is what we want to do, and then the county steps in and go, well, also we are going to be in the children realm of things. I'm just trying to figure out why to the most effective use of our ad valorem dollars.
That was a decision that was made by the Board of County Commissioners in 2014 and 15, that we were getting out of that very young space, which was the Head Start program, and the agreement that was reached at that point is that the county would really help in the older years and continue to fund evidence-based programs, and the two would collaborate. Ultimately, the funding is a Board of County Commissioners decision. The term of the contract with the Children's Services Council at that point in time has expired, but we have continued with that very strong partnership with them. I don't think any one agency can do it alone because there are so many needs for our children in the community.
I don't think it's a matter of doing it alone, but necessarily who is the one partnering with our partners in the community, us or them. And I don't see any of us, the board members, wanting to cut funding for children ever. I think that would be, sending a very bad signal. And I think we do care very much about the youth in our community. Absolutely. I would like to see our staff work more with the Children's Services Council and try to start that transition of getting these dollars back into what our taxpayers have voted on a program and a millage rate. And I would just like to see a delineation of the professionals in the Children's Services Council area kind of take the lead on this more than the county itself at our level, because they do this daily. And maybe my board members feel differently, but that's what they're literally created for.
Thank you. Administrator Baker.
We don't disagree at all. That was why they were created. However, as ACA Fields stated, they are now focused on the younger kids, the early kids. And so what we've seen is changes in the number of youth going in the wrong direction. And so we believe these programs, the board at the time believed these programs were worth the investment. And we're going to hear some of that today. Again, at the end of the day, it is the board's call to tell us how to redirect dollars. But we are at the table with our partners, not only the
Children's Services
Children's
Council.
Services Council. We're not only at the table with, with the Children's Services Council, but we're also at the table with our other partners in the community to provide these services for our youth. And if we pull back, I don't know who else is going to fill that gap. None of us fund complete programs. We always leverage our dollars to make them go further in the community. But at the end of the day, it's the board's call.
Well, I'll follow up again. I'm not trying to say we should not do that now. What I'm saying is I would like to see an area where we start to transition and even emphasize, and I can too, because we know I serve on the Children's Services Council. It's why I'm very familiar with their process and the millage rate and everything that goes on. And again, if it's a priority of the community to also focus on middle school age children, even high school age children.
All of them.
I don't see, especially high school aged children as well. I think it would be great to have those conversations, and again, keeping it with the people that this was created for. Again, I'm not trying to say very specifically not giving them these dollars this year, but let's start transitioning towards maybe working with them, and maybe they can pick up some of the funding that we are currently doing on this side and add it into their budget, is what I guess I'm trying to ultimately say at some point.
And you will see some examples of that when we come forward with the next set of recommendations where the Children's Services Council is coming in and funding with us.
Thank you.
And maybe we bring Children's Services Council to the table with us so that a lot of these questions can be answered directly by them, and then possibly add some of our partners so that we could workshop and see how best to continue funding our youth.
Thank you.
Commissioner Barnett.
Can you repeat, Tammy, again, when the decision was made to use ad valorem funding?
Sorry, that occurred in 2014, going into the 2015 budget year.
So it was a totally different board. Nobody was here on this board who was there at the time. Is there anybody on staff who could talk a little bit about the board's rationale in making that decision, just for educational purposes?
Certainly. What happened at that point in time was the privatization of the Head Start program. And the board made a determination. Let me give one other part of history. One of the things that happened is the Sandy Hook shooting occurred. And our Board of County Commissioners, as well as some of the school board members and Children's Services Council members, all came together and had a symposium that was called the Infant, Child, Youth, and Young Adult Symposium. It was a very conscious decision to bring parties together to discuss how do we make sure that a tragedy such as what happened in Sandy Hook, which those kids are now graduating right now, doesn't happen in our community. And with that, there was an outgrowth of a series of recommendations. One of those recommendations was the creation of the Youth Services Department. Prior to that point in time, Palm Beach County had youth programs that were scattered in various different departments, but a recommendation was made to have one department that could work with our community partners. The charge at that time was very strong: work with our community partners. Don't come in and try and solve the youth issues. So we worked very closely with the school district, with the Criminal Justice Commission, with the DCF was involved, Career Source was involved, and obviously the Children's Services Council. From that, there was also a creation of the Youth Master Plan. That's when we also formally created Birth to 22, United for Brighter Futures, which started with 5 agencies working together to plan for our youth, and has grown to over 200 agencies who all commit and work together. I think every single one of the agencies that is here today is part of Birth to 22. We brought forward a youth master plan that was done in partnership with all of those agencies. The board at that time did approve that youth master plan, and that's how the priorities were established. As Ms. Kramer mentioned, we are currently in the process of updating that plan. We've been out to the community to make sure that we're getting community input. The efforts to update that plan were jointly funded between Children's Services Council and the Youth Services Department. So that is somewhat the history that was made, and the funding became available because of money that the county was saving as a result of not operating the Head Start program.
So the purpose of the Youth Services Department and the funding that you provide so many of these agencies, the rationale for that funding in 2014, you would say, still exists today?
Absolutely.
What would happen to some of these agencies if the board decided to withhold our funding and force the Children's Services Council to shoulder the full burden?
I mean, that's policy decisions that are made by the Children's Services Council.
I understand it, but
board,
what would be the result, in your opinion?
If they did not, if there wasn't funding available, it would reduce the number of programs that are available for youth to participate in and be able to get the care that is needed. One of the things that's happened is the mental health programs in particular have seen much greater need than before, and that's even been acknowledged by the United States Surgeon General of a crisis in the area of mental health. And one of the things with all of these programs is, even if they are focusing on job coaching, or they're focusing on having a fun after-school program, they're always making sure that they're paying attention to those mental health needs. And actually, we work very closely, the rest of the Department of Youth Services, with the Residential Treatment and Family Counseling, works very closely with all of those community-based agencies to be able to coordinate services in the area of mental health with them. So the short answer to your question is, if the monies weren't available for these agencies, the agencies would not be able to continue at the same level the work unless they found other funding sources.
Okay, thank you very much, Tammy.
Commissioner Baxter?
Thank you, Mayor. Tammy, what is the total amount of dollars that we spend ad valorem on the youth services?
The entire department, or the
on the children's programs?
The budget for 2024 was $5,842,369.
And so the budget being over $140 million for the youth for the Children's Services Council. Do you think their ability to take over 5.8 million would be a hardship for them?
That's not a decision I could make. That would be a policy decision for the Children's Services Council Board.
So I guess I look forward to if we can bring the Children's Services Council here and have, these discussions. Thank you.
Well, being on the other side of the table and running a children's foundation, one of the things that's really important is that when you're writing for a grant, it's the partners that you have with it. And the more partners you have, the more grant dollars you're able to get. So by having the county as a partner, that's really a strong statement along with Children's Services Council. So I'm happy to be in support of these agencies because these are programs that we, the county, don't have to do. And I think that was the whole mission, was we don't want to do these programs. So if we can pay someone else to do them and do them more efficiently, because that is their wheelhouse, and that was why in 2014 this all came to be. So with that, I think we have health and wellness up. So can we continue?
Thank you. So under the health and wellness category, our priority is focused on youth and parents increasing their coping skills, their strategies that allow them to reduce stress in their families, their strategies that allow them to address the trauma that they have faced, and understand the impact of that trauma even years after it has occurred. So we have a true leader in trauma-informed care, both locally, statewide, and nationally, and internationally, with the Center for Child Counseling, and we have Dr. Jibby Sirik here to present.
Thank you so much, and Board of County Commissioners and Madam Vice Mayor, thank you for having us today. We're truly grateful. So Center for Child Counseling for over 25 years has been the forefront of providing children's mental health services in Palm Beach County. And we have never confronted a mental health crisis like we are seeing in our children right now. In early 2023, we had over 850 children on our wait list for services. We know that trauma can be devastating to the growing minds and bodies of our children and families in general. Last year, our clinical program supported over 7,500 children, many facing overwhelming abuse and trauma. However, the need of our community is much greater. As Children's Mental Health Organization, our approach is unique. In addition to traditional treatment and therapy, we provide data-driven prevention and early intervention services that also encompass education, utilizing a public health approach framework to mitigate intergenerational and two-generational cycles of adversity and trauma that are really present in our counties. Our theory of change that is presented on our slide with Elia in center of it shows our overall goal for children to grow up healthy with opportunities to thrive in a trauma-informed community. Basically, if the trauma, we know that by education and early prevention, we can prevent trauma, but at times trauma does occur. And we need to create community that is able to support through buffering not just children, but adults' ability to support our children and community in general. Basically, we believe that we build a capacity of all adults who work and live with children. Teachers, pediatricians. We just had a training with law enforcement officers, 26 of them. They engage in our Build the Brain game. So it's very important to build a capacity to support that. As we know, adverse childhood experiences impact the health and wellness of not only our children and families, but our entire community. Big issues that our society is tackling right now is violence, abuse, addiction. They're all rooted in trauma and adverse childhood experiences. However, we do know that positive experiences are the antidote to these experiences. Trauma can be experienced, but we know if we provide support and education and prevention and early intervention, those can be mitigated. In last year, we equipped, as I said, law enforcement, school, many adults in our county. 11,200 adults in Palm Beach County with skills, tools, and strategies to support children and that are in our community. This was possible through the support of Youth Services Department, so thank you, and for our education and prevention program. Center for Child Counseling. Through our data dashboard, we are reimagining services and embracing technology. And we are able to geomap in helping and supporting our communities. What that means is we're looking at traditional outcomes, people served, outcomes such as successful discharges, but we are going beyond that. We are looking at where in the county our specific issues are happening and what are they saying to us, what services are needed. And that's how our services are driven towards service delivery. Slide 2. Our other program that is funded is through our pediatric integration program. Through a science to practice, data to action, we are bringing effective solution to Palm Beach County. Backed by decades of research, our pediatric integration program, funded in part by Community Services Department, is the first of its kind in Palm Beach County. Through a partnership with Palm Beach Pediatrics, we are integrating services into primary pediatric care, a frontline strategy to identify trauma and mental health concerns early on, to prevent diagnosis and the need for more deep-end care. What we are trying to do is prevent dollars spent into traditional treatment and partner with pediatricians to support our families, parents, and children. This will not only save our communities millions of dollars in later, but it also is changing lives. We don't have to wait for the child to fall apart emotionally before we do something about it. This model is leveraging the power of pediatricians to support children's physical and mental health. We look forward to sharing our data dashboard geomap and outcomes with anyone who's interested. Today, we have 180 children going through our intake process. As you can see, the drop from 850 to 180 is significant. But they're not waiting for services. Because of our public health approach and framework, where they're able to be engaged in different levels of services through our intake process and therefore triaged. And with the support of all our partners, we are able to provide that support to our clients. We're grateful for all the support. Thank you.
Several years ago, I was part of the white paper for the adverse childhood experiences, and that's quite an eye-opening survey. And we don't even realize it. And actually, if you want to send a copy of the survey, the actual questionnaire to the board, that would be great, so they can see what you base some of your research on, because we really don't know. And that was, I mean, really one of the reasons why I wanted this is because I really wanted to show our board the depth of partnerships that we have. So if you could send that
so we would be glad
study over and the survey over for the ACE program, that would be fabulous.
We will absolutely send that.
Thank you. And any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Libby.
Okay, our next category is the parenting and role models priority. And this is really focused on parents engaging in new ways to initiate conversations with their children, understanding how to support their medical needs, and medical being behavioral, physical, in all ways, improving their parenting capacity and preventing abuse. So in addition, this category also focuses on children with disabilities and having some respite for parents who are caregiving with a child with special needs. Next category.
If I could just make one comment as an example of a partnership in this category is the Visitation Center. That was one of the priorities that the board gave us when the Youth Services Department was created. And the partnership, the depth of that partnership is really outstanding, including the Breakers Hotel, who Kathy Leone did all kinds of efforts to get all of the furniture. The Breakers donated the furniture for this visitation center, and it serves both. It really serves a purpose in trying to get families reunified, and allowing siblings who, unfortunately, through being in the foster care system may have been split into different households for them to have a safe place. So the partnership is with the Guardian Ad Litem program, it is with DCF, the county, and the breaker. So it was a really strong partnership that is partially funded through DCF as well.
Thank you. So our final priority of area of funding for our community-based agencies is social and emotional learning. And this is focused on strengthening those skills for self-control, for persistence, for decision-making, for inclusion and leadership. And we are very fortunate to have an organization that helps build the capacity of providers and organizations and helps teach those community-based agencies that are serving directly additional skills that they can use to strengthen their programming. So today we will hear from Suzette Harvey from Primetime Palm Beach County, President and CEO. There you are, I can see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Vice Mayor Morano. Thank you for being at our launch this year of our partners. And Commissioner Weiss, he kicked off the national conference we had last summer. So appreciate all the support for Primetime and the work of out-of-school time in our county. When I first did my notes, I was about up to 10 minutes, and so I apologize. I usually don't read, but I'm going to read now to make sure I cover everything that I want to say to you. So since 2016, we have worked with after-school and summer programs serving middle school age youth to increase program quality, develop social skills, youth-oriented leadership, and support active engagement in enriching learning activities. In addition to our contract to support teens, we are funded to provide hands-on learning experiences to Palm Beach County-funded summer camps serving low-income elementary and middle school youth. Over the years, the providers have offered programs in technology, the arts, cooking, recreation, fitness, chorus, and more. For example, one of our content expert providers, Green Mouse Academy, offers robotics, engineering, coding, game design, and animation directly to the youth in these programs. Another provider, You Speak Out International, focuses on digital and media literacy, covering topics such as privacy and reputation, online security, safety, cyberbullying, and mental well-being. When combined, Primetime offered more than 13,000 learning experience last fiscal year to Palm Beach youth across our county in schools, and after school and during the summer. For many, these experiences may not have been possible due to financial or geographic barriers. The activities are at no cost to the programs, and our providers go directly to the sites. In addition, Primetime offers training and supports to create teen advisory councils. Through these councils, youth take on genuine leadership roles to be a support to their after-school or summer program or to their day schools or their community groups. Last year, more than 80 teens from 19 after-school programs participated in the teen advisory councils. This is what a couple of the youth had to say. Ever since I joined the TAC, I felt a burden unleashed within me. I started to be more vocal and open, which was overall creating a positive impact. Another one said, TAC prepared me for the world. We got to collaborate, communicate, and grow our leadership skills. Being an officer made me a better person. And a third said, I remember being amazed how much this community innovates personal growth. It truly made me acquire new skills and create a more positive environment within myself. So in addition to the council trainings, we have other offerings specifically for staff working with teens. Last fiscal year, 80 practitioners attended Primetime's middle school focused trainings that covered a wide variety of topics, including teen and family engagement, youth leadership, responsive practices, building safe spaces, and promoting well-being, among others. And currently, we have 15 after-school programs specifically serving middle school youth that are participating in the Palm Beach County Quality Improvement System. As participants, each of these programs receive guidance from Primetime's quality advisors through a self-assessment process and the development of annual action plans to address identified areas of improvement to maintain or increase program quality. In 22-23, Primetime recorded more than 250 interactions with middle school program practitioners. These cite supports, including coaching and the sharing of important resources. The outcomes from participation in the system are important ones. High quality helps parents to feel secure during the workday, helps children learn what after-school programs have to offer, and for those children who are most vulnerable, high-quality programs teach resiliency and cultivate mental wellness skills that could last a lifetime. Slide 2. In December of 22, Primetime and 8 teams from the Delray Beach-based Milagro Center, which works with us for years, participated in the Powered by Youth Voice Conference in Chicago. After months of planning and presenting their ideas and recommendations to the future of after school to key stakeholders and fellow teens from Chicago, Flint, Kalamazoo, Nashville, and Providence. There, they determined how $100,000 in project implementation would be allocated. As a result of these youth-led conversations, the Palm Beach team was awarded $10,000 to implement its proposal for a local workforce development program. So the teams are right now busy planning for and preparing to host a career fair for students. So thank you for the opportunity to share some of our work.
Thank you. Do I have any questions from our board members? Okay. Andy, what's next?
Well, that concludes our community-based agencies, and I want to thank Youth Services for all of the work that they're doing and for all of the agencies that are here. Next up, we're going to go into our financially assisted agencies, and just as the history on that program started back in the 1980s, and it was a determination by the Board of County Commissioners. I also brought visuals. This is the plan that, or the report that has been circulated to all of the board members on what, actually, and this one is the investment portfolio from the community-based agencies and the Community Services Department on the various investments that are done. And this, also want to mention that this is in conformance with the Health and Human Services element of the comp plan, and a way that we are able to further the provisions in the comp plan to serve our community. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Green.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. And Tammy mentioned the Health and Human Services element of the comp plan. I think it's worth mentioning that we're one of 67 counties that has an optional element as a part of the comp plan. And the board, in its wisdom back in the late 80s, decided that as they moved into investing in health and human services more, that they wanted to define the county's relationship with other major funders. And so this comp plan, it does that. It serves as the safety net for Palm Beach County, looking at all of those service domains like housing and homelessness, like employment, transportation, looking at things like hunger and food, health and wellness, education, safety and justice, and childcare. And so in each of those domains, there are funders, our major partners that are leading and serving in like a backbone type capacity to ensure that across Palm Beach County, and looking at subcategories like youth, seniors, disabled, veterans, domestic violence victims, they're looking at making sure that there are quality services that are being provided across the county, that services are accessible, that we have available dollars for those services, looking at how we're coordinating with each other, because we know that services are interdependent for our residents. They don't just need housing. Oftentimes they need employment support and food support and all of those. And so looking at that and looking at the accountability structure and making sure that there is a way to continuously come together and assess and determine where the gaps are in our system of care, and then strategically allocating funding to fill those gaps. And so the Citizens Advisory Committee on Health and Human Services are the group of individuals from various institutions that come together, and they get They get reports from these backbone organizations who are serving to ensure that those services are being met in those particular domains. And it's just really a way of us being organized as a community. And as you mentioned, Vice Mayor, many funders are attracted to communities where there's governance and there's organization in the way that we administer our services. And then the last thing that I'll mention is we also have come together to adopt a key core values that's outlined in the element. It talks about us providing services in the least restrictive environment. That's one core element. Another thing that we're all very good at doing now is going to the community and making sure that we're listening to those who are the people who are closest to the problems are often closest to the solutions. And so we have made it a point to make sure that we go to the community and listen to them and strategically prioritize the things that they're saying. And then, of course, we want to make sure that as we're providing services, that there's no discrimination and that we're meeting people where they are. So people are uniquely situated, and we want to be as flexible and agile as possible to make sure that we're meeting them where they are. And there's also a funders group that comes together and looks at these things as well. And so I'm going to just mention that when we come together and we invest in our financially assisted agencies, we know that for community services, we're not focusing on all of those domains that I mentioned earlier, but we're particularly focused on economic stability and mobility. Stability being for people who can't work, our seniors, individuals who are disabled, and then mobility being for families and individuals that can work. And so we allocate resources to further that domain, behavioral health and SUD, housing and homelessness, and then we have a strategic partnerships category for partners like 211 and others who are serving in a very strategic role to help administer health and human services. And I'm going to turn it over to Taruna, and she's going to dig a little deeper in some of our NOFO strategies.
Good morning. As James said, that we have 4 strategic priorities. One of the priority we work with our communities is housing and homelessness category, and you will be hearing those recommendations on 2nd July. We just went through the NOFO for this category. The focus for this category is not just to fund the homeless program, but to leverage these dollars. We bring close to $11 million from the HUD funding, and some of the match dollars for the HUD programs comes through the FAA. And our really focus is to make sure that all of our program is aligned with the HUD requirements, but then also making sure that if there's a gap funding which is not covered by these grants, for whatever restrictions they have, we have that provision available to our program. Another category which we did the NOFO in 2023-2025 cycle is our economic stability mobility category. And we fund close to $2.2 million in this category. The 22-24 cycle was our behavioral health services, which fund our community-based treatment programs, the deep end programs, close to $5.8 million. Our programs are monitored by community services staff to maintain that we are making sure that agencies are spending the money as per the contract, but then also very effective and efficient in those services. Total of $13.3 million goes to our FAA program, and then all of these priorities are through community-driven process, and the recommendations are always brought to Board of County Commissioners for approval. So this is our homelessness FAA funding allocation for $2.7 million. The agencies are in purple. We'll be presenting it today. We couldn't bring all of these agencies, but the community investment portfolio that Tammy talked about it's not just our FAA program, it's all the programs in community services that are funded by different federal grants, state grants, or with our ad valorem programs. So I'm going to invite Adopt a Family. We fund housing stabilization, Project Safe, and rapid rehousing through our FAA program, but also Adopt a Family works with us in our human services space and also an operator of program REACH, which is a 19-unit facility in West Palm Beach.
Thank you. Good morning, Vice Mayor Marino, fellow commissioners. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here with the Department of Community Services. You guys have done a ton for us for many years. So my name is Matt Constantine. I serve as the CEO of Adopt a Family. I've worked there for 22 years now. Starting as a case manager for a homeless prevention program, which you guys still support. And fortunate to stay and have great mentors and really fell in love with the agency. And one thing I could say is from the day I started till today, Palm Beach County has just been an incredible partner to our organization and to the families we serve. So thank you. So a little bit about Adopt a Family. Do we have a slide? Is it?
Sorry. Yes, you do have a slide.
Okay, so we were founded in 1983. We serve families with children in Palm Beach County, and we're serving families who are either experiencing homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. We have sort of three core areas where we work in. We provide services for families who are literally homeless, services for families who are facing homelessness, and we also do quite a bit of work in the education space. We operate a full-blown after-school program, a program for middle school and high school kids, and we now own and operate 112 units of housing in the Lake Worth Beach area, which really serves as a campus and allows us to do a great deal. And I think James had mentioned, the importance of other services. It is not just housing with us. We have mental health services, job coach. We partner with many of the incredible agencies that are here today whenever possible. And so we do a lot of work with our families to get them back on their feet. So one of the things I was going to also just talk about briefly is the education piece. One of the things that, we specialize in families with children. And so sort of that opportunity that we have in the housing space, sort of through the social determinants of health, is to really look at some of the areas that are impacting families who are unstably housed. So we do that's okay, I'll get to that. So we do quite a bit of work, and we work with the school district very closely. Sort of our sister school, if you had to call it a sister school, is Highland Elementary in Lake Worth Beach. And we have a very close relationship with them. We actually developed, and that slide is the picture, I'm sorry. That picture there is our most recently completed housing program. It's called Julian Place, and it is units that are dedicated to the families of Highland Elementary in Lake Worth Beach. That's a Title I school, top 5 McKinney-Vento, so it's has one of the highest student homeless populations in the county, in the district. And so they refer families to us, and we house them and work very closely with the elementary school to see how their academic performance, how it improves. And not shockingly, when housing is provided and there's truly affordable housing, these types of things improve. And we just recently had a data sharing agreement with the school district demonstrating just that our kids were outperforming their peers after they'd been stably housed. So we can go to the next slide. To kind of move a little more closely to the partnership that we have with the Department of Community Services, you guys support the work we do at the Lewis Center. You support what we do at Program Reach, our permanent supportive housing program, and our homeless prevention program. And I wanted to talk specifically about Program Reach for a second. To me, that is probably one of the coolest public-private partnerships out there. In 2016, Program Reach is an emergency shelter, for those that you don't know, 19 units. It's located in West Palm Beach, and it is not only the largest, but at the time, for many, many years in our community, was the only family shelter. We're fortunate to have DV shelters and things like that, but this was one of the only places for families with children who were experiencing homelessness. And it had been in the community for decades. In 2016, the community was at risk of losing it it was going to be sold, purchased, and working really closely with Palm Beach County. I had the honor to work very closely with Mr. John Van Arnhem and others that are here today to make sure that stayed in our community, because it truly is a sacred place, and it is a place where we can get those families that are in cars, sleeping in Walmart parking lots or sleeping in parks, and we can get them into an apartment. So that program, we serve about 90 families a year. One of the outcomes that we get measured on for that through FAA is the amount of families, the percentage of families that exit to permanent housing within 90 days. And that's actually a really tough outcome for us to hit. So I'm not going to say 100%. I'm going to say, I think we're at, our most recent was at like 61%. And part of the issue that we're seeing, and obviously you guys are well aware of this, is just finding permanent housing in such a short period of time has become just more and more challenging. But the program is just doing incredible work, and the partnership, again, has just been, I think, a really great example of what can be done with nonprofits and government. Also, the work we do at Project Safe, that is a program in Lake Worth Beach. It's 32 units, and it is a permanent supportive housing program, funded in part by HUD, funded in part by Palm Beach County, and funded in part by probably 15 other entities to make this go around. But it is a program for families in our community that are dealing with the most barriers, that are dealing with, disabilities, mental health challenges, all these different issues. And we take those families in from the Lewis Center, and they come into Project Safe, and we help get them back on their feet. And our homeless prevention program, the housing stabilization program, another great partnership with the county, with the work that you did during the pandemic and continuing, but we have a much smaller ability, but we're able to serve about 200 families a year and help keep them housed and keep them from entering the homeless system. So, I just wanted to reiterate my gratitude. The story I have really does center on education. I thought about this and whether to tell a story, but it's been graduation season at Adopt a Family. And so I've been going to a lot of different graduations. And we, I was leaving work one day. We went to, had a little event downstairs with cake and some pizza or something. And we had 4 seniors who were graduating. 3 were going to college, and 1 was going to a technical school. And the one daughter I'd known, since she was like in our after school program in 2nd grade, 3rd grade probably. And the parent had been there for a while in one of our housing programs. And, it's just those sort of impacts and things that you don't think of every day. Like I'm focused on, it'd be great if that mom could buy a home. That'd be great if this could happen. If this, and so focusing. And I watched the daughter, she brings in her yearbook from Lake Worth High School and just starts showing me every picture she's in as a senior. And she's on the volleyball team, she's on this team, and she's so excited to be enrolled in college for next year. And that story, to me just sort of reiterates the importance of housing. Housing affordability is what really makes so much of this possible, and housing stability. So again, honestly, the work for my 22 years, you guys have helped us in every area of our organization. So I just wanted to say thank you again. Thanks.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Questions?
Alrighty, so I'm going to invite the Lord's Place, Ray Morse. They are also one of our critical partners. Like I mentioned that Community Services not just funds Lord's Place through FAA program, we also have our other human services program which they are funded. One of the work which we do as a part of collaboration, which we currently do not fund, is our homeless outreach shelter. Homeless Outreach Team Program. So between our staff, City of West Palm Beach, and Lord's Place, we work together to make sure that there is no duplicative of services. So Ray, it's on you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Raymond Morse, and I am the Vice President of Strategic Impact at the Lord's Place. Our mission is to break the cycle of homelessness. We house 250 people a day all throughout Palm Beach County, and we serve 1,800 people a year. On behalf of the Lord's Place, I would like to thank the Board of County Commissioners, the county administrators, the county's Community Services Department, and the Human and Veteran Services Department for your commitment to the issue of homelessness. We recognize that your support extends far beyond funding. You also invest your time and energy. We've had members who have spoken at our reentry barbecue for formerly incarcerated individuals on their Saturday. We've had commissioners who have attended our housing ribbon cutting ceremonies. We also had county staff members who have attended our staff's memorials. We've had some staff who have passed away, and so those gestures are very meaningful for us, so thank you. In terms of funding, the county provides more than $1 million a year annually for our most essential services: permanent supportive housing, street outreach, job training, and our Parks to Work program. This funding is making a difference. With the county's support, we house more than 100 chronically homeless households a year. These clients have a disabling condition, and they've experienced prolonged or repeated homelessness. Once they're in our housing, we're able to improve their health, their financial stability, and their quality of life. As a result, more than 90% maintain or exit to stable housing throughout the year. Your support for our street outreach program is also vital. It's helping us address an 80% increase in unsheltered homelessness over the past 2 years. Through our street outreach program, we assist 800 people living on the streets a year, connecting more than 400 to housing. With your support, we are the designated job training provider for anybody who accesses homeless services at the county's resource centers. Since we began partnering with the county on this program, we have connected more than 300 people to employment. Through our Parks to Work program, which is a pilot that was only possible with the county's support, we engage adults living in our local parks, place them in housing, and enroll them in culinary training so that they can begin a new career in the food services industry. Those chef apprentices are currently preparing more than 1,000 free meals a week for others experiencing homelessness at our Cafe Joshua program. Can you go to the next slide, please? We benefit from our partnership with the county in many ways. As you heard, county funding covers the required match for our HUD grants, ensuring the program's financial sustainability at a time where there's rising housing costs in our county. As a nonprofit agency, we also take heart in knowing that the county aligns its funding priorities with community needs assessments, which they often play a leadership role in developing. When you are competing for resources, it is reassuring to know that the county's funding will follow the data and the evidence, and that the decision-making process will be fair and impartial. The county also strengthens our capacity through its collaboration. The Community Service Department is constantly working on new initiatives to build our capacity. Recent examples include championing the Catch a Fire platform, and there's an upcoming pilot project to tackle food insecurity. Community Services also creates learning opportunities by facilitating trainings, summits, and panels, and providing sponsorships for us to attend conferences like the National Alliance to End Homelessness. As I close, I want to share one of our clients' stories because it highlights how the county's funding is transforming lives across several programs. The name of our client is Maria. Our street outreach is carried out by peer specialists. That means people who have experienced homelessness and addiction, and they're currently in recovery. Our peer specialist outreach worker met Maria while she was living on the streets. She was suffering from untreated schizophrenia and was addicted to crack cocaine and alcohol. Over the course of 4 years, the outreach specialist and Maria developed a sort of routine. The outreach specialist would enroll Maria in treatment at a local recovery center. She would participate in the treatment, become discharged, and then immediately relapse and return to the streets. Throughout their time working together, Maria always mentioned that she wanted to talk to her middle school-aged daughter in Georgia. The outreach specialist attempted to arrange it, but Maria's instability and lack of contact information made it difficult. However, one day the outreach specialist was able to locate Maria's daughter on Facebook. During an arranged phone call, Maria's daughter said, "Mom, I just want you to be stable so I can visit you." These words struck Maria deeply. She asked the outreach specialist for help. After so many failed attempts, he offered one last chance. With that, he took her to the recovery center. She participated in the program, resumed her medication, and regained her stability. From there, the outreach specialist referred her to our agency's permanent supportive housing, which is funded by the county. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment, participating in case management and other wraparound services. Today, she's been housed in the program for 2 years. She has maintained her stability and regularly talks to her daughter on FaceTime. As I think about Maria's story, I can see the county's role in helping her rebuild her life, from street outreach to housing to supportive services. Your support has helped her and countless others. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you. Hold on a second. Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you for that. I thoroughly enjoyed, and honestly, I've done a tour of the Lord's Place, and you guys really set the golden standard for partnering, public-private partnerships with the county, and thank you for everything you do. Seriously, an amazing job. I do have a question. So we have been discussing prior to this the opioid settlement dollars and where to how to use those. And we haven't come to any major decisions yet. But I would like to know, because direction was given to potentially to reach out to the Lord's Place and, start maybe partnering with you to find some of these housing solutions. So it's not all just on the public sector, but again, another private-public partnership. Has anyone reached out yet?
I have not personally heard from anybody on that. I will share with you that we have many housing programs at the Lord's Place, and we are actually slated to be adding 60 beds to our capacity in the upcoming year. And the county has been instrumental in making that possible. Through the Housing and Economic Development Department, they actually gave us the funding to purchase and rehabilitate a housing facility. One of the unique things about our housing, many of our housing programs, is that a lot of our housing programs are predominantly privately funded, and that gives us flexibility to serve people in unique circumstances. So if the county came to us and said they wanted to partner on people who are in recovery from opioid issues and they might not meet traditional eligibility requirements for federal dollars, we could definitely look at serving them in some of our housing programs.
That would be amazing. And staff, I'll let you answer.
And yes, we have had discussions. I've had a couple of discussions with Diana Stanley as recently as yesterday, but have had prior ones because they did lose some of the funding at the state level from COVID dollars that are no longer available for their peer street outreach. So we are engaged in conversations on how to support that, and one of the considerations was the possibility of the opioid settlement dollars. So those conversations are actively occurring right now.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. One of the programs I know that you have over at the Lord's Place that I don't believe we're partnering with you on is your drop-in center, your day center. Can you just talk a little bit about it and how many folks you're serving a day there?
Absolutely, yes. So in June, we opened our expanded homeless engagement center. And our vision for that center was really to be a one-stop center for people experiencing homelessness, particularly unsheltered homelessness, those who may be suffering in the elements and they need a place to go during the day in order to meet their basic needs or engage in a service. We give them breakfast and lunch. We have job training. We have basic needs services, and we also do housing navigation. Since we opened the center in June of 2023, we've served over 1,000 people. We're currently serving meals, probably more than 200 meals a day, and that's lunches. We don't currently track breakfast, but I think it's safe to say that there's hundreds of people coming through the doors each day at that facility.
Thank you.
Administrator Baker.
Good morning. Good morning still. I'd just like to inform the board, we did have a conversation with Stanley on yesterday and her assistant along with her regarding their requests that came in on June 4th, requesting $750,000 to assist with the day program. So we're still in discussions with her. That was not on your schedule when I brought it to you because we had just recently got it and we were needed more information. And so we're always looking to leverage. So we don't always give people everything they ask for right up front unless we find that we're the last resort. So we are in discussions. We had a very positive conversation on yesterday because we're looking for whomever the other partners are going to be for this day program, which is an excellent program. I went over to visit and definitely some training going on, some counseling. So what we will continue to do is continue to work with them, bring the partners to the table. It may not be included in the budget immediately, so we can always, once we find out who the other partners are going to be, come to you and bring it out of contingency for that purpose. But I wanted you to know that we support the day program. It is an excellent program, but we also want some other partners to come to the table with us.
And County Administrator, yes, we heard loud and clear at that meeting that the county is very supportive and sympathetic of our programs and services, and they're also equally as concerned about taxpayers and using the funding appropriately. So we are going to do the follow-up work that you advised us to do, and then we're going to follow up with another request and more information. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you again, Vice Mayor. I'm sorry I was out of the room when this may have been discussed. Can you talk a little bit about the mobile unit? Is that included under street outreach funding? Or if it is or isn't, I was just wondering if you'd share about the work that your mobile unit does. I had a chance to visit when you set up in Belle Glade. I know we're still looking for locations in my district, in District 3. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so we launched a mobile meal mobile, as we call it. And the meal mobile, its goal is to help address food insecurity among people who are housing unstable. And it's also a tool of our street outreach and engagement program. We know that when we are able to provide people with food, it entices them to participate in our other services. So with that in mind, we prepare about 250 meals and we put them on the bus and we drive them to strategic locations where there are people experiencing unsheltered homelessness, and we do that on a set schedule. And we also send our street outreach team with them, and then while people are eating the food, then we're intaking them and providing housing navigation assistance. I don't think that program is included in our street outreach program budget. I think right now it's included in our Cafe Joshua meal program because it still is providing food, although there is an affinity between the two programs just programmatically. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who's next?
Okay, well, we have YWCA as our next agency, but I do want to add for Lord's Place that when Ray talked about collaboration and continuous quality improvement, even if there is a program not funded through FAA, but within our county or within our community services department, we do integrate a lot. We recently did an HIV and homeless program and worked with Lord's Place to improve the services. And then also we integrated therapists going with our HOT team, going with the Lord's Place team, and also with our human services. And Virginia Baker was kind enough to add that in our budget for 2025 request because we saw a really good improvement in our program delivery by integrating a therapist. So the next one is YWCA. One of the strategy in our housing and homelessness NOFO is emergency sheltering for domestic violence. And Shay Spencer, CEO, will talk more about her programs.
Good morning. Feels like I've been here for a while. Is it still morning or is it afternoon? Again, I'm Shay Spencer, CEO of YWCA Palm Beach County. And for more than 100 years, YWCA has really focused on empowering women of all ages and all races and developing solutions to affordable housing, increased access to affordable childcare and affordable health care, in addition to tackling youth empowerment programs, racial justice programming, and financial literacy as well. So we accomplish this by literally identifying challenges faced by women and underserved populations in our community and then developing solutions to help them overcome those challenges. Currently, we have our domestic violence emergency program, which is funded through FAA. The domestic violence shelter literally provides emergency housing and basic needs for women and their children who are homeless due to domestic abuse or facing homelessness. Each family is offered food, transportation, therapy, safety planning, financial assistance, emergency assistance, and of course, legal representation and legal assistance if they need to go to court to file for an injunction for protection or custody of their children or something of that nature. So while living at our shelter, women work very closely with our case managers to design a customized service plan that talks about what they want their life to look like when they're exiting shelter, right? This is a short-term stay for you. What do you want to happen? What do you want to accomplish while you're here? Do you need to obtain employment or increase your income? Do you need to repair your credit or file for taxes, which may provide a nest egg for savings for you? Many low-income families and women in distress do not file for taxes, and that could be $4,000 or $5,000 that they can literally put into their bank account or their savings account for a rainy day. We also talk to them about college courses, completing certifications. We provide financial assistance for things like completing their GED or even purchasing uniforms if they're in need of those items. And so we also look at other resources that we might be able to connect them with in the community as well. Last fiscal year, we had 500 women and children call our shelter home, and funding from the Community Services Department allows us to not only provide basic needs such as the housing and financial assistance, but it also allows us to provide the much needed moral support and encouragement that these women need. I can't tell you how many times we have women come to our shelter and they're beaten and broken. They feel hopeless, and they're confused, and sometimes they had a domestic violence situation that brought them to our shelter that day, and sometimes the incident occurred several days prior. And so within those few days, they are either living at home with the perpetrator, they are living in embarrassment with family and friends, or literally on the street calling dozens of agencies trying to figure out who's going to help them. Sometimes, again, they come to shelter and they're angry, they're despondent, they're agitated, and they literally feel homeless. And we put the people over the process. For example, we had a young lady who came to our shelter, and her partner used his firearm to attack her and to beat her. And she came with very fresh wounds. And that was not the time for us to bring her into the office and say, we've got to do an intake process. We need to get a copy of your driver's license. We need to have your social security card and a description of the abuser. That was a time for us to build trust, to provide comfort, and to let her know that you have a safe place to stay. So we could put her in a room, she can close the door, turn off the lights, get a blanket, and stay there for a day or two. And then we can go in another day or two, and our team worked to encourage her to get out of bed and let her know that no matter what happens, every day is worth getting up, even if you don't accomplish all the things in that day that you set out to accomplish. That is the job of our staff, and it is difficult. I have staff that come to me sometimes crying because of a situation that they had to incur, and it's triggering to them. Either way you put it, when we assign the rooms to these young girls, and sometimes older women, they're leaving behind everything. And so we're sometimes paying for storage because they're moving from a full apartment or a home to just a room, and a room that they may share with other folks. And while they come to our shelter for safety, they're not excited to live at the shelter with 50 plus strangers. And that's just the truth of the matter. So again, a part of our job is to provide the moral support and encouragement, but also to to ensure that they know that there's hope out there for them. We have volunteers that come to the shelter on a weekly basis, and they let them know, I was once in your situation, and look at me now. And so that is a good tool that we use as well. This fiscal year, I'm proud to say that we're going to be investing $1.7 million into the program, and 25 staff members are dedicated to the emergency shelter program. That's nearly 50% of my workforce. I have about 50 employees. FAA provides about $140,000+ to support what I call mission critical activities for the program. And so that includes maintenance. As I tell you that over 500 women and children lived at the shelter last year, so you can imagine the needs of the facility, and the facility is about 50 years old. And about every month I have to call the plumber to fix a clogged toilet or something of that nature. In addition to covering maintenance costs, a large part of what you all cover for us, which is critical, is the cost for salaries, a portion of the cost for salaries. When I joined YWCA in 2020, I was mortified when I learned that we were paying our shelter staff $12 an hour. And it's that old adage, you get what you pay for, and we were definitely getting what we were paying for. And And so while it's not much, I was able to increase salaries from $12 an hour to $15 an hour, and our case managers are being paid $18 an hour. And I certainly know that by no stretch is it enough for the complex work that they do, and it certainly isn't enough to live in our community, but I do have strategies and benchmarks in place to increase salaries for the staff this fiscal year and next fiscal year. But you all cover those costs for us in a major way. And additionally, this year we were very fortunate enough to get funding for our rapid rehousing program. So some of you may already be familiar with the fact that YWCA provides rapid rehousing for domestic abuse survivors and their children. But we know that there are nearly 2,000 new people in our community who are facing homelessness, who have not faced homelessness before, right? They were just at the brink of making ends meet, and now they're not able to make ends meet. And so we're going to be getting over $240,000 in the new fiscal year to do something that we have never done in our 100-plus year history. So it's super exciting for us. We're expanding our rapid rehousing program to serve the general homeless population, and we will prioritize the chronic homeless, women, and seniors as well. And so we're super proud of that. The program is a housing first model, which we know is one of the most successful models for housing homeless individuals. We will provide wraparound services. We're increasing the number of partners that we work with in the community on our housing programs. The program will serve 55 unduplicated persons and a total of 146 when you include children who will be in the program. And for the rapid rehousing program, with both domestic violence and the general homeless population, that's going to be $1.95 million. And so I'll share two other points. When you talk about the impact of the funding from the community services and from FAA, you allow us to transfer funds, so we use the funds that you provide to support things like salaries and programmatic needs, and then the few general operation dollars that we have, we can use those things to increase efficiencies. When my tenure began in 2020, we were literally doing paper-based timesheets, which shocked me. So every person was filling out a paper timesheet and submitting it to one poor individual in the finance department who spent 3 days on the payroll week processing that. And so we were able to purchase a software to go to electronic-based time sheeting, which has been helpful for us. And we've also been able to do other things that allowed us to scale up and to increase efficiencies. When I joined the organization, we did not have a human resources person. And so since then, I've been able to hire a full-time human resources director who's been doing a phenomenal job. And so I would leave you all with one final thing. Because we're able to get support from funding such as the FAA, it allowed us to free up dollars to do other things. And I'm very proud to say that after many years of toggling at a $3.5 million budget, we're walking into the new fiscal year with a $5.8 million budget. And those are just the dollars that are confirmed, and the fiscal year hasn't begun yet. So that's a 60% increase, which means we'll be able to do more and serve more people in our community. So I'm so super excited to partner with you all on this, and I look forward to being able to provide more updates on what's happening with the organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I love all the good work that's getting done. I have no questions here, so
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So the next partnership, I'm going to bring 211 and Legal Aid. This is part of our strategic partnership program. Currently, strategic partnership is funding $1.8 million. Most of these programs are to build the capacity in the community or work with the agencies who are the only provider for that particular services. 211 is example for that. We also fund Travelers Aid. I know Commissioner Barnett talked about a Travelers Aid program last time. So currently Adopt a Family and Goodwill are the Travelers Aid program. But this program is also any agency, any homeless agency can tap the dollars through Adopt a Family and GGI as well. So Sharon is going to talk about the 211. Currently, 211, we are collaborating with the Children's Services Council and United Way, and 3 of these funders are working together to fund 211.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm going to start by saying, again, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your time. I know it's already been a bit of a long morning. I'm asked to be concise, so our work is expansive, but I'm going to try to be brief in covering it. Well, and also thank you to the partners. Listening to them was so inspiring, and these are the organizations that we are connecting people to. So a lot of the stories, for example, that Shay shared when she described someone who's on the street thinking, what am I going to do, what am I going to do, what am I going to do, and trying to call many different numbers, we would encourage everyone here to remind people who are struggling that all you have to do is call 211. Right? That's the one number that you call, and we're able to connect them to these community partners and do this work. So we've been founded in 71, over 50 years ago, doing this work. We answer the 211 line, and there's a little confusion with some different numbers that are coming up now. So we answer 211, of course, but we have always also answered the National Suicide Lifeline. We actually predate the Lifeline. We were accredited to do suicide prevention calls before the National Lifeline existed. So we've been doing it a long time, fully accredited to do so. So we answer 211, we answer 988, we answer victim services. As I mentioned, accredited, certified, trained. People can call us, they can text us, they can chat with us, they can email us, they can go online to our resource directory and get all those services for free. So we try to be very, very accessible, however people want to reach out. We are anonymous and confidential. That is extremely important because not everyone who needs help wants to magnify or notify people that they need help. So they don't have to give their name if they don't want to. It is confidential. We are making connections to all of these services. We did this little graph, which you can't read very well, I see, but it's okay because the visual is just intended to say that it is a hub of services and connections, and our organization is at the center. In addition to the helpline and hotline, we have several service areas where we provide additional support and connection to people that are somewhat more vulnerable. One of them is our Elder Crisis Outreach Program, which is funded through FAA. Again, thank you. We also have found Palm Beach County to be a fabulous partner, by the way, wonderful partner. Okay, talked about advocacy, talked about de-escalation, suicide prevention. I touched on that. I should mention that one of the things that we're doing as part of the 988 rollout and the national aspirational model of how mental health services should be changing nationwide. One model that's being endorsed is the Crisis Now model, and it really calls for disentangling mental health from law enforcement. That's a central tenet of the model, meaning that if you call 911 for mental health services, 911 law enforcement has obviously a focus on safety, but not always the training on mental health that's necessary to handle that situation in the way that most people struggling say that they want to be addressed, right? We do know, sadly, that sometimes there have been scenarios where people have been harmed in that kind of environment. So what we're wanting is mental health experts to respond, and the first step would be calling 211, call 988, call 211, and we are able to dispatch mobile response teams directly. So that's a new add-on feature that we have brought on board recently since the 988 launch. All right, next slide. So to talk about outcomes just a little bit, we responded to over 124,000 requests for help last year alone. We had over 50,000 searches of our resource directory. We provided care coordination from a veteran peer for over 1,000 different vet requests. We called over 700 isolated elderly individuals last year with our volunteer-driven Sunshine program. So these are some of the things that people say when they reach out to us. The kids are teasing me. A mom might say, I don't have food in my house. People sometimes say, I don't want to go on, right? So in those situations, the top stat is that we responded, and this is, I always cite, this is our very, very, very biggest, most significant outcome. We responded to over 4,500 individuals who were in a suicidal state, so they did not want to go on. That's about 12 people every single day that we talked through their darkest moments and they were able to go on because our team was there. And we are able to do this work because you help us do this work. So to continue some of the themes from some of my friends and partners who've already spoken, your funding, we use this funding to leverage what we're doing. So without that, we would not be able to answer the calls as quickly or as powerfully or as effectively as we're currently doing. And some of the things in closing that people say to us after they've gotten help, they've called back. This is a story you've probably heard because it always chokes me up because it came to me directly, but I got a call at my desk from a mom who said, I'm calling to let you know I wouldn't be a mom today if your team wasn't there because my son called you last night and he's gotten treatment and he's now in an inpatient facility and he's alive today because of you. So those are the kinds of things we hear. We hear people tell us that our team was the first person who listened to them, right? That they had been calling and struggling to figure out where to go, but we were able to get them connected. So again, thank you for helping us to be there for all of the people who reach out to us every day.
Thank you so much. I don't see any lights on. Oh, Commissioner Baxter.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for what you do at 211. And I also had a question. How does your system know about all the community partners, all the resources available?
That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it. So what we do, we actually have a staff person. So we do it in a variety of ways. One is that we have a staff person who is tasked with keeping that updated. Another is that we ask all of our partners, and you would be included in that, is if you learn of something that's changed, you let us know. That staff person will reach out to the organization, verify the information. We proactively, if we don't, the partners are supposed to update, and it's a requirement of your funding, actually, that they do update. So that was a good move a few years ago. They're required to update, but we also proactively reach out to them once a year to make sure, even if they haven't gotten in touch with us, they have to verify this information is accurate. And then we are very integrated into the community. So I'm out at meetings like this. I'm meeting with our partners. We have an outreach staff person. We serve on many task forces and committees. And through that process, any changes that we learn of, we take back to our team. So thank you for asking to give me a little extra time to share that.
Oh, thank you. One question to staff. How often are we personally, reaching out to them and updating the systems within 211?
All the time.
Yeah, we stay in constant communication with 211. A lot of times things internally change, and we want to make sure that they're up to date with what's happening within the department. I think the highest level of frequency in terms of communicating was during COVID, when there were so many needs, and we were always at the table with them and making sure that we were updating information. And it wasn't just us. There were other organizations that needed to provide updated information for our residents. And so that is a constant thing.
Thank you for that information. But how often are we reaching out to them now, not during COVID, to update that information?
So let me answer that. So we also have a call center within our community services department, and we get a lot of calls, 250,000 calls we got last year. So we work very closely with 211, and actually currently we are working on a project where we will be integrating our resource directory with them and have a data integration feed. I see Commissioner Weiss smiling on that. But that has been our goal, to make sure that we are sharing the information. And then one of our lead staff works directly with 211 lead staff, and they are constantly making sure the information is updated. And then also 211 is partnered with our Oscar system. So when the client is calling, their staff is checking in Oscars to make sure that they are referring to the right program. So I would say that we are probably talking a lot lately, especially to integrate some of those systems.
Thank you. And if I may add just one thing, I was just going to say the short answer would be the county is in touch with us anytime something changes or there's a need. But the longer answer would be that Taruna and James and myself have regular hotline, cell phone contact. It is not at all uncommon, especially James in hurricane season also. I will be walking somewhere and get a call from James, and vice versa. So we have a very close and open communication between our teams.
Thank you for that. And lastly, I think you touched on it a little bit. I love the idea of integrating the technology. to work together. And will they also be able to see how many beds are available for services, or how many, like what resources are available and where to allocate them? So say more than one of our partners has resources, which one actually has something available for them?
So currently, we don't have the real-time bed inventory, but we are working with CEFPEN currently to make that happen. There's definitely a lot of HIPAA regulations, which we are trying to figure it out. But they do have access to all of our funding programs. Like I mentioned, that they are partnered in Oscars itself, so they have the current real-time information on all the programs which we are funding. And especially, we do a lot of direct services in our department, so they can see it online, how many dollars we have available for electric utility and the rental. We are actually going online in next few weeks, our online appointment in Oscars, and 211 will be able to see our appointments log, and hopefully her staff should be able to make some appointments for us as well. That's the goal.
That's amazing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the questions, and again for the partnership.
Oh, no, we've got more.
Oh, okay. I'm here.
Commissioner Weiss, your light is on.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just one question. You didn't talk about, you've got a capital campaign going on
thank you.
regards.
Oh, yes. I had a note to myself to mention that, and I was rushing on time. Yeah, we are in, I felt a lot of Shay's pain. We also started, when I began, we were doing paper timesheets too, and we've moved electronic. We are operating in a, thank you for those of you who've come. I think every single person has visited the facility. We are in a very sad metal warehouse building that is not hurricane rated at all. So we are very excited, and I sent out some email thank yous, but I've got official thank yous coming. We just found out that we got the second $1 million from the state budget. So that brings us to $5.3 million confirmed of the $6 million goal. And we are now teasing through the regulatory requirements of that funding before we begin. And we hope to begin demolition on a portion of our site in the next few months. So, and looking forward to inviting you all to that facility, hopefully in another 18 months or so. Thank you for asking that.
And thank you. Yes, I've been there several times, and really a shout out to your staff.
Thank you.
Because they're the ones that carry the brunt of all of
Yes.
this. And, they're in tight quarters themselves, and
Yes.
long hours, and just from us, say thank you.
I definitely will. I walk back to them and tell them whatever feedback I get, and they love it. Just this last week with all the rain, we had a leak in our roof, and we had a whole section of our resource center covered with plastic. And I just told them, we're going to tear this all down. We're going to be building something new really soon. So your appreciation will mean a lot to them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's up next?
We have Legal Aid Society as our next agency. Takesha Miles will talk about the Guardian Advocacy Project, which we are funding. It's one of a great program in our community, and I will have Takesha talks about it.
Before you get started, for the rest of the board, I think once we get through all this part of the workshop, then we'll take about an hour break for lunch and come back and do the second. Is that okay with everyone else? Okay, thank you. Go right ahead.
Good morning. My name is Takesha Miles, and I am the supervising attorney of the Elder Law and Fair Housing Projects. I'm here on behalf of Bob Burdish, who's on his first vacation in 10 years, so he would have been here, but for his Alaskan cruise that he's on. So he sends his regards. Legal Aid Society has been around since 1949. We are celebrating our 75th anniversary. We have been a valued partner here in the community, providing services to over 8,000 clients annually. Our goal is to provide free, high-quality legal services to our most vulnerable and disadvantaged citizens in Palm Beach County. Our organization is set up in essentially practice areas where we focus on family services, children, individual rights, services to the elderly, and health advocacy. We have been proud to partner with Palm Beach County Community Services and grateful for the county's commitment to ensure that low-income residents have access to justice. Legal Aid currently receives funding from Community Services for 3 programs: our Guardian Advocacy Project, our Ryan White program, and our REAP program, which is our Rapid Response Eviction Assistance Program. I want to focus today on our FAA-funded program, which is our Guardian Advocacy Project. So this project was started in 2010. and provides guardianship and legal case management to individuals with developmental disabilities. And that could be autism, it could be someone with intellectual disability where they have an IQ less than 70, someone with cerebral palsy or Down syndrome. And just to give you kind of a little understanding of what guardian advocacy is, it is a special legal process where a court determines that someone needs someone to be able to make decisions for them. And as we turn 18, we become adults, but individuals with developmental disabilities, when they turn 18, still may not be able to make the same decisions that another person may be. And that's where we come in and provide that case management and provide some legal assistance, and we manage their finances. Our goal is to make sure that we help our clients establish goals and be able to meet those goals and to be able to live independently as best they can in whatever community-based or home-based setting that they're in. You know, one of the things that we help, in addition to their finances, we help them make healthcare decisions, and we take them on outings to make sure that they're able to have that social activities. They have engaged in equine therapy, bowling, pickleball, cooking classes. We want to make sure that they have all of the ability to have that enjoyment in life, and so we want to make sure that we provide them the legal part, the financial management, case management, and also a little time for social activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from the board? We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The next category which we fund through FAA is our Economic Stability Mobility Program. This program not just fund the economic stability programs, but also focus a lot on self-sufficiency, employment, and making sure that the clients are able to increase their skills and then increase their wages. ARC of Palm Beach County is funded through this program, and they currently have adult education program, supported employment, supported living, and technology training as part of their programming. I will invite Pamela Payne to talk about the programs funded by FAA.
And welcome. You're celebrating your newness to the agency. Thank you for being here today.
I certainly am. I have made it 9 months through changes, mergers, and everything, but I have to say I was meant to be here, and I'm very happy to be at the ARC. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all about the ARC and about the wonderful funding that we get from FAA in Palm Beach County. The ARC of Palm Beach County is changing the conversation about people with disabilities by defying definitions, inspiring possibilities, and improving the lives of the people and families that we serve. To do this, we rely on the amazing supporters, such as Palm Beach County and FAA, to allow us to operate the programs to assist our clients to be all that they can be. Palm Beach County is home to approximately 29,800 residents with intellectual or developmental disorders. And just for shortness from now on, I'm just going to say IDD. Our 22 programs are assisting over 35 individuals in our county from birth throughout their entire lives. On this slide, you'll see the programs that the FAA grant is allowing us to do. Through adult education, we increase our clients' self-sufficiency and independence by providing opportunities for them to participate in life, social and employment skills training, and to enrich their lives through the arts and culture, engage with the community, and explore careers. We are currently serving 131 clients at our North Campus and 150 clients at our South Campus, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30. The STARS program serves adults ages 45 and older who are no longer able to work. Our current eldest client is 90 years old and thriving. STARS is the only program in our county specifically addressing the changing needs of aging individuals with IDD who want to remain engaged with their peers and the community. Through socialization and engagement activities, our participants maintain a healthy, active lifestyle that promotes maximum independence. Supported employment offers a comprehensive array of services using an individualized, goal-based approach to provide this support. Each client is assessed for their abilities, their interests, so that we can make sure that they are moved towards the positions that are going to make them the most they can be. We also prepare young adults with IDD for transition from school to community employment and independent living. We currently have 23 contracts with companies throughout the county, including FPL, Pratt & Whitney, and Otis Elevator, that employ 198 of our clients. By providing on-the-job training and employment opportunities, these services help clients successfully achieve and sustain employment to increase their incomes, and they enjoy getting a paycheck. One story on that was last week. We did a contract for the National Association of Chain Drugstores. We had to pack 1,300 boxes with over 100 full-size supplies that they were treated to at the breakers. We did this within 3 days. It was staff and volunteers. It was amazing, and they had such joy in doing it. I will share pictures with you later. Our supported living program supports 18 and older who have the desire to live independently but may need additional support to thrive. Supportive living directly combats the institutionalization of individuals with IDD by providing the housing and life support needed to help them find sustained, independent, community-based housing. We have a technology training program that teaches basic skills in Microsoft Office, keyboarding, navigating government benefit sites, and safe social media. This program increases participants' independence and self-sufficiency by providing access to clinical skills in today's world, advancing employment skills, and helping them to stay connected with family and friends. The ARC operates 6 residential group homes and are staffed 24 hours a day. Although most residents are involved in meaningful daily and vocational activities, our homes provide housing, food, transportation, housekeeping, laundry services, and each resident's medical and dental needs are addressed through medical case management. Residents are provided daily instruction in necessary life skills to increase their independence. Most of the residents attend adult day training at one of our campuses on Monday through Friday, increasing their social integration and socialization. Our fabulous employees and clients love visitors, so we honestly want you to come and visit the campuses. Commissioner Barnett was there at 2 of our campuses in the last couple of weeks, and you need to be prepared to smile a lot and get hugged a lot. Now I want to tell you about George. George is in our supported employment program at the ARC. He has been there for 10 years working in maintenance, and there is nothing George doesn't want to learn. He continuously wants more, wants to learn more things. George lives with his roommate in supported living and regularly meets with a case manager and a vocational coach. He loves socializing at Dunkin' Donuts, going to church with his family and the beach. But the one thing that George really possesses is a passion for writing. He has published 1 book of poetry, and he is right on to publish his 2nd book. So our clients are thriving, and we appreciate very much everything you do for us through the grants. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. Thanks, Pamela. Can you, 2 things. Can you update us on, last I'd heard you all had merged with HAP Center, and there was a plan, you have property over, I want to say Congress and 10th, is that?
6th Avenue.
6th Avenue South, and potentially housing, community center for your clients. What's going on with that?
Yes, we did inherit the HAB Center with its 10 buildings and a lot of repair. The plan that is now in place is to build an arts and culture center and a hurricane shelter for people with disabilities and autism. We were very fortunate this funding cycle to have received another $1 million to provide that facility. And I want to thank you, Commissioner Barnett, for your letter of support. We really appreciate it.
So you're no longer planning housing village?
Gigantic residential center with retail and all the services involved, no.
I think that's that's something that's definitely needed is housing. I know there was a group that wanted to come into a part of District 2. They're up in, I think they operate a facility up in Central Florida. It's a community specifically for folks with developmental disability.
The village, and like, yeah, there is.
And they look to do something similar to that down in Palm Beach County, where there is a definite need for a facility like that. And that property seems very well situated to be able to
Time and money. The former CEO had a vision, a wonderful vision, and we've got the plans in our office. It would take about $70 million to build this facility.
maybe start one building at a time or something.
We are starting one building at a time.
And the last thing I'll let you know is I volunteered at the ARC for over a decade.
I know that, sir, and we appreciate it.
And really appreciate the work you all do and the clients you serve. Those, unfortunately, they're sort of forgotten people in our society, and they should never be.
They should never be. Thank you.
And I actually like shopping at the shop.
Come to the thrift store.
All of the Christmas cards and holiday cards I have done, they've been done by your students and your clients, I should say.
We do.
And
that's part of our artisan program, and Taruna has a small little gift from our artisans for each of you. Yes, we have a store online with all sorts of mosaics, cards, etc.
The mosaics, you see them all over. And they're proudly displayed in a lot of people's offices, the mosaics that you have. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have already been there. We are a special place, Palm Beach County, and definitely support a lot of agencies that are doing great work. But if you have not visited the ARC Center, I was just going to strongly encourage you to go and visit it. I mean, it's just amazing to see the work that they're doing on the North Campus. And we also fund some other programs. If you haven't been to the Boca Habilitation Center, I mean, they're gems in our community a lot of people don't know about. So take a tour, take a look.
Alrighty. The next funding category, which I already talked about, is the economic stability. Glades Initiative is also funded through this strategy, and they provide a lot of critical services in Glades. We are funding the community resource navigation project with them, and I have their CEO, Kara Sango, who can talk about their project.
Hi, good morning. I might be last, but hopefully we are not least. Though we are a lot smaller, excuse me, we are quite a bit smaller than a number of the other organizations that have presented to you this morning, but we are all very interconnected. I serve on Legal Aid's board, and Julie Swindler, Families First, serves on my board, and so we keep connected intricately through our boards, as well as the services that we provide, because we're very aware of what all the needs are in the community and how we need to connect to those resources. Thank you so much for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we do at the Glades Initiative. We appreciate your support for the programs that we offer in the Glades community. Quick history about the Glades Initiative. We exist because of the Board of County Commissioners. 22 years ago, actually probably 25 years ago, you put out an RFP for someone to look at the system of care for health and human services in the Glades. And it was under another nonprofit at the time, and community leaders came together in the health and human service world, and out of that came the Glades Initiative. And you have funded us for the last 22 years that we've been incorporated and existed as well. So thank you for your support. Our mission is still to improve the coordination and effectiveness of the health and human service delivery system in the Glades. So all of what happens throughout Palm Beach County, sometimes some of that doesn't quite make it all the way out west. Some of the challenges we have and the reason they are accentuated are perhaps that 30, 40 mile distance from our community out here to the resources that are out here. And there's amazing resources both within our community, but there's even more resources over here on the coastal side. One of the other main challenges of our community is being able to serve people where they're at. and where they are able to access us. So I have up on the screen there, somebody already references this today, and I don't know how often you hear about social determinants of health, and that term gets thrown around a lot. What we exist to do really is to address social determinants of health, because that is what prevents people from being able to access health and human services. And so before that term was even really coined, we were kind of doing that, but it creates a really great way of explaining some of what we're addressing. Language. 40% of the households in the Glades speak a language other than English at home. So if you're providing services to our community, you have to be able to have Creole speakers and Spanish speakers in your agency. Literacy skills. So many people, even when we talk about the digital divide, that's a little piece of literacy. We are the digital divide. Unfortunately, we have so many households where people don't have access to the internet, or I will even say to computers. You cannot fill out a food stamp Medicaid application on your phone. A lot of people do have phones and smartphones. The basic things that we kind of take for granted, a lot of people do not have access to. And so that is what we do. All the other social determinants of health also are being addressed, many are being addressed. Just as far as where do people go to get resources, we are a face-to-face community. People want to see you there. They want to know and trust that you'll be there when they have a problem. They can come back to you, see someone who will help them, someone who will speak their language and understands what they're going through. So that is what we do. We have navigators, and a lot of them are focused on helping our clients get connected to many of the other services you heard other people talking about, but also to the basics. And you can flip to the next, well, actually, going back to that one, was over 3,850 residents through just through our navigators. What I will say is that we serve over 7,000 unique individuals every year when you look at all the programs that we provide. That's like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 of every resident in the Glades area. And that's because we have a number of different programs. So our navigation services, 80% of the folks needing to access that don't speak English as their first language, have limited access to computers, or limited literacy and need help. Just the same way we go to tax professionals to help us. They come to us to get something almost as important as their taxes, which is their Medicaid or Medicare applications, their food stamps, their help getting connected to basic emergency services through Oscars and the county system, LIHEAP, all those things our navigators are helping people get access to. Food is another huge thing we do. It is not directly funded by the county, but your support really just helps us overall as an organization. And food is an area that we have grown tremendously. A lot of the benefits of being a small nonprofit is that you can adjust and adapt to try to look at what the need is in the community, what are the essential core things. And so food is an area we've talked about for many, many years. We were more on an advocacy level, but we started providing direct food bank services probably about 12 years ago, but we actually started giving out pantry ourselves to individual clients just after Hurricane Irma, which was 2017, sorry. That's when we realized we're already serving people who really need food, so why not step up and go wholehearted? So we are serving over 520 households a week. That's about 1,500 people every week with groceries. 400 of them are coming through our site, and the other 120 are home deliveries to seniors, seniors that are not able to get out real well, but we want them to be able to have access to healthy, affordable groceries. So there are a lot of other things we do. We have a resource guide that we print. It's also available online. Our weekly e-blast goes out to 2,400 people. That's a whole different set of people than the ones we're talking about coming into the office for services. So it's really hard for us to imagine some of the poverty that is seen in our county, given that we are a county of such great resources. But there is tremendous need, and even at the very, very basic level. There's a lot more I could talk about, but I think I'm between you and lunch, so.
Karis, thank you so much. I mean, I've known you for 15 years. You've been doing the Glades Initiative since then. And, the work that you all do out there is impressive, especially being a small agency with a small budget. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. And we still use paper timesheets.
And Vice Mayor, Commissioners, that's the last of our presentations. I just wanted to point out that the next category is in the behavioral health services. Since we've been bringing a variety of behavioral health issues up to the board in recent workshops, we did not bring an agency here, although, as you've heard from many of the agencies, many of them are working in that space, both with youth and adults, and it's integrated in all of the services they provide. I know this has been a tremendous amount of information. You can understand why we didn't bring all of the agencies that are funded, but we're happy to address any questions. And I really wanted to give a special thank you to all of the nonprofits who we partner with. We would not be able to provide the high quality services that our residents, particularly those who are most in need of services, are most vulnerable, deserve without the help of our nonprofits.
Administrator Baker.
I'd just like to add to Tammy's thank you. I do want to thank all of our not-for-profits that we partner with, our state agencies we partner with, and other nonprofits that we partner with. But a big special thank you to the staff. Because they're responsible, they're charged with monitoring, they're charged with resolving issues, and then making sure metrics are included in all of them. Because I know that Commissioner Weiss in particular likes to see the return on the funding. All of you do, but he definitely asked for that. And so we attempt to put those metrics, especially for our community service, our FAA partners, in our agenda items so that people understand, yes, we are investing and here's how many people we're helping and how we're helping them. But that takes time, staff time and effort, and they go above and beyond. And our hot team, I want to give a special shout out to, and their leader, Wendy, she's gone now, but they've just done a phenomenal job, and our partners have been there to help us. We could not do this without it. If we, our unsheltered individual, unhoused individuals have creeped back up, but if we didn't have the partnership, the service, and the dedication and commitment from staff, we would be in a worse situation than we are today. And most of all, I have to thank the board for your support because we do recommend these as part of the budget process, and you have been supportive over the years. So thank you for your assistance as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you for all the partners that were able to come in today and talk about their programs. I appreciate what you said, Administrator Baker, but, and I know I do harp on the dollars, but this is really about people. It's not about numbers. It's not about dollars. These are human beings that we're trying to help. But I do expect accountability, and I do appreciate you all making sure that we are holding ourselves accountable because we are using public dollars for these programs. But to our agencies, our partners, this really is about partnership. It's about relationships. It's about networks working together because nobody can do it alone. There's not one agency. There's not one government. There's not one nonprofit. There's not anyone that can do everything for everybody because there are just so many different needs and specializations. I thought, and I had the opportunity to serve on the Children's Services Council Board for a while as our representative, and I do appreciate the coordination that goes on between the two areas. But I believe we have a responsibility as well in making sure that our children are receiving services and filling in the gaps that potentially exist. And that's a priority of mine, and I think a priority of most people in this county. You know, it's a challenge. Folks having kids sometimes don't know how to be parents. They haven't had the proper, or they haven't had parents to help parent them, and it's not their fault. So we need to make sure that we're helping those that are that need those kinds of resources. Adopt a Family is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal in what they do. I've seen them help so many families struggling with housing here. You know, I was down in Miami with Dr. Green, James, a little over a week ago, seeing their system down there. 90 days is not enough in a shelter. That's not enough time to get somebody housed, especially in the market that we're dealing with today. I think we really need to relook at that and see if there might be some way to be more flexible in order to make sure that we're not having a revolving door of just putting people back out on the street only to have to bring them back in again. And I know shelter space is also at a premium. But on the other hand, putting them back out on the street and running through there doesn't make sense either, because we get so far and we just didn't get far enough. So just so many different needs. And you know, I was thinking about, you know, women trapped in abusive relationships and not knowing where to go and what to do, and that we have partners that can help, and I hope people are hearing that. But really, lastly, my last comment, and we talked a little bit about it, is the resource availability systemically, that we can see we have a system that really can provide access to resources for both ourselves and our partner agencies and working together. And I encourage you all to continue to work in that regard. I know you are, but just a little more encouragement. But I just want to say thank you so much. And for friends out in the Glades Initiative, ACP, we are pushing really, really hard to get that back. So hopefully Congress can do what they need to do, but we're hopeful we're going to get that program back up and running to make sure that we do try and close that digital divide. I've been working with providers out there to make sure that at least the physical systems are in place. We have challenges as it relates to digital literacy, as it relates to language literacy, understanding that. But hopefully with some of the funding we're going to be getting from the federal government to be able to have digital navigators as well to assist when that equity grant money becomes available in the state of Florida. So we're happy to help work with you on that. So thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I didn't see whose light went on first, so Commissioner Baxter?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Question, because I had asked this before, are there limitations due to our funding sources with how long people can stay in the resource centers?
So the HUD requires us to have their deliverable is 90 days, and we have been having a lot of conversation with our HUD liaison, and then working with our legislative group here to see if we can work with HUD to increase that. We agreed 90 days are not enough, but that one of the things which our HUD team folks are working on is to make sure that the folks are document ready, so when they get to the shelter, they already have a lot of those documentation in place to get them in housing. But again, it's just not enough time.
And so you're saying that we have to house them for at least 90 days due to our funding sources, or that's the max amount of time?
That's the max.
The max amount of time. Mm-hmm. And so you're trying to find a way to have them stay longer?
We are trying to see that our funding doesn't get jeopardized if we increase it to more than 90 days. Currently, all of our funding is based on how quickly we are able to house, and the HUD regulations are within 90 days.
And to the point of, I just don't want us jeopardizing dollars to try to extend that as well, because those are going to be, 90 days is still better than no days, right? So I do agree. I think 90 days is an insignificant amount of time, but at the same time, I'm sure you guys will be very diligent in making sure we do that appropriately. Also, to the point of, I absolutely love that we partner with the private sector. I love that our nonprofits that came here, so thank you. And everyone on staff for doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I know we're ready for lunch, but I just wanted to add a couple of points I was thinking about as I was listening to all of this. Thank you for asking for this workshop. I think it's good for the public to be aware of how this works, the taxpayers, because we are using their money to pay for this. And I think a lot of people, they hear nonprofits or this other stuff, and they don't realize how much of a connection they have with our county departments to actually deliver what, not that we can't, but I don't really think that we should, because smaller groups can be more effective in, handling a lot of these issues, because they can actually build the relationship. We can hear stories from multiple stories of, a kid that's graduating or someone getting a job or however this plays out. Like, that comes from building relationships, and you can only do that up to a certain level. It's not really scalable. It has to be duplicated. And I think that's what you've done a really good job in partnering with a lot of different agencies that can do this. We don't want to ask them to be our sole source for Palm Beach County. It's just, we're too big and it's too diverse, and the issues in themselves they need specialization. So I think the fact that we have this is really good. It's good for the public to know. I mean, small towns manage stuff like this better, but they have, everybody knows everybody. And if you see a kid in trouble, you can go down and be like, hey, Billy's in trouble down here. And that's how it works. That's not us here. We're too large. But these nonprofits can provide that kind of fail-safe for what a lot of this needs. And the connections that we have with 211 and a number of different ones, just putting the pieces together, because even if we have a good nonprofit working with someone, there's other services that they're going to need, whether it's housing or employment or food. All of it can come together and play, and no one group is in charge of all of it. We're in charge of guarding the taxpayers' money and making sure that we're partnering with good agencies, and you're doing a great job with that. I appreciate the presentations and all the nonprofits that came to speak to us. I think it's important just that the people know, and it's not even so much whether or not you can volunteer or you have this, but just know that you feel good that your tax dollars are helping with a lot of services that I just think most people don't know about. So I want to thank you for that. And also just keep working on keeping the public trust in what we're doing, because it is taxpayer funds. And I was glad to hear everyone, acknowledging that, it's a partnership with us and we support them, and let's keep the good work up. Thank you.
Thank you. These are strategic partnerships, and they also our dollars help nonprofits leverage more dollars. We talked about this with affordable housing. We didn't want to be the largest piece of the pie, but we know that being a piece of the pie helps get more dollars. So I think that's really important for our taxpayers to understand. These are agencies that fulfill part of our strategic needs, our strategic priorities. And I do appreciate everyone that came out and spoke with us today. And you can see that there is a synergy that works between all of these agencies, and they all communicate with each other, and they actually help each other. If one agency can't do it, they know an agency that can. And that's really why we have the discussion, and it's ongoing. And thank you to our staff for putting this together. I just wanted everybody to be educated and really know the resources that we have in our community. So I do appreciate that, and I think we can say thank you to all of you that are in the room today that have lasted this long, and why don't we take a break and come back at 1:45. Okay? Thank you so much.